All right. Let's jump right on into it. Now, there has been explosive testimony by Capricorn Clark in the Diddy trial. Now, if you guys don't know who Capricorn Clark is, she is somebody who was working very closely with Sean Combs and his brand. She was a brand ambassador. She worked very closely with his organization, and she was key in helping him along the way, and also key and instrumental in working with Cassie as well. Well, we heard last week Kid Cudi's testimony, and Kid Cudi last week testified how she was the one to tell him that Diddy was breaking into his house. Now, Kid Cudi, a lot of people, when he did his testimony, they felt like his testimony was damning, but I talked to several people and they felt like there was a lot that Kid Cudi was holding back, okay? They said Kid Cudi could have really went up there and really laid the hammer down on Diddy and really went in with all the details. There were some people who observed the testimony and felt like he was holding back. Now, Capricorn Clark, she is not holding back on the stand. She's breaking down in tears. She's reliving her testimony. She's talking about how she had to settle with him, how nobody else would hire her. She's talking about how she was kidnapped from Diddy, not one time, but a couple of times. And she also talks about the lie detector test that she had to take as well. Now, last week when I was in New York, I told you guys about David, I think his name was James something. He was an assistant, and he was accused of taking a watch from Diddy, and he was also accused of like cash coming up missing, and he talked about how he had to take a lie detector test. Now, in the assistant's testimony, who they interviewed who testified on the stand, they also asked him, who else did you witness having to take a lie detector test? And he said he witnessed Capricorn also having to take a lie detector test. So now that Capricorn has hit the stand, she is revealing what the circumstances were of her taking this lie detector test, how she was secluded, and she had to be on, consistent for 5 days doing this lie detector test. And after doing the test, then she returned back to work for Diddy, how everything went down with the Kid Cudi situation, and so much more. We're going to get into all of it. Now, I'm not there to take my notes, so we're just going to take the cliff notes from Inner City Press today. But there are a lot of people that are there, a lot of people that are reporting, and I'm going to pull up one of the guys that I met out there, Secret Service Sam, who he felt like Diddy was winning, okay? He's like, I feel like Diddy's winning, blah, 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 blah. Today, when Capricorn hit the stand, Secret Service Sam, and that's his name on TikTok, he was like, ooh, this was not a good day for Diddy. Capricorn was up there. So we're just going to show a little bit, a piece of Secret Service Sam's video before we get into the actual things that was said line by line that Inner City Press was able to get, because, baby, it's a whole heaping lot. And it begs to, well, I'm gonna save that. Let's go to Secret Service Sam.
Patriots, this is crazy. Just coming out of the Diddy trial, and Capricorn Clark might have just turned this whole case around. Patriots, check in. I know you're like, hey Sam, you were saying the Diddler was winning. The Diddler was winning. Not today. This is not a good day in court for the Diddler. She pretty much came out swinging, saying that he kidnapped her. They go through the whole ordeal with Kid Cudi. It is so intense. I will give updates later with all these notes and everything.
All right, so he is boots on the ground. I don't want to play his whole video because he's there, he's in court, and he's doing his thing. But I just wanted to show y'all how somebody who felt like Diddy was winning is like, this is not good for him. Now, they released a sketch of what Capricorn is looking like right now. So it looks like her hair is black and her hair is pulled back into a ponytail. Now, some of these sketch artists, I be like, girl, y'all be making these people look crazy. Okay? But this is one of the sketch artists who basically is showing what Capricorn Clark is looking like on the stand. She has her glasses. She has her hair pulled back. And they even got the little razzle dazzle with the napkin because she broke down crying while she was testifying, talking about her time with Diddy. Now, she worked with Diddy on and off for a very long time. She would go to Diddy, she would work with him, he would do some crazy stuff, then she would stop working for him, and then she would go back to working with him, and then he would do some crazy stuff, and then she would go back and leave and come back and leave, and, you know, all of it was in between, you know, her seeing pew-pews, her being kidnapped, her being in all of these crazy movie-type scenarios. And she talked about how she would leave, come back. And she talked about how through all she went through, she was paid a whopping $65,000 a year in salary. And I'm just like, is the lifestyle really that great to be working like $65,000 a year is for the amount of work that they had to do, the amount of hours, not getting sleep. Sure, it's a lot. So let's get into the testimony and let's pull up Inner City Press. Now, when they first got into the courtroom, they were basically trying to strike Kid Cudi's testimony, okay? They were like, listen, Kid Cudi don't know what he talking about. All he talking about is he said, she said, what somebody told him, hearsay, and we don't want his testimony admitted at all. They also were trying to strike, I guess, some report that was supposed to be coming in because remember there was mention of the DNA on the Molotov cocktail being female. So I'm like, ooh, they trying to, the government was trying to block the report and the data. And I'm like, ooh, Miss Capricorn, you over here calling Kid Cudi, telling him everything that's going on. But did you throw the cocktail? Did you create the cocktail? But I mean, it would make sense because who really thinks that Diddy is going to be sitting up in his house, putting all the ingredients in the cocktail himself, putting the little tissue in, walking up, cutting the thing? Come on now. Nobody expects Diddy to actually create an actual Molotov cocktail. Who thinks that? So obviously the DNA would most likely be somebody else. I would just assume that, especially if he forced her in the car and made her go whoop. Like, I mean, I would automatically assume that. So the DNA being female wouldn't really be too shocking, but that's what they were trying to deal with in the morning. Now, let's deal with what was said, okay? And let me, before I pull up the tweets, let me drop the link in the chat because these are going to be more fun or not more fun, but it's going to be more fun with you guys coming up and giving what you think as we read through this, because since we're not there, we're not there boots on the ground this week, we need crowd participation to get right on it. And this will also let me know, is it worth it to go back, or do we just, peep around town or what's going on? Now, Uda on Go is also boots on the ground there at the trial. Let's peek in on what Uda is talking about on his page as well. And then we're going to get into the thing. But I just kind of want to, give a feel of the atmosphere that's going on around the courtroom, who's live, what they're saying, and what their firsthand reaction is. And then we're going to get on into it. But I also want y'all to click the link because as we go through these things, we need crowd participation, okay? So here's Uda. Uda was so nice, so sweet. I met him last week, all right? And he is there today giving his account. We're going to watch just a little bit, but go to his channel. Let's see let me take a screenshot of his channel. Definitely go support him and go follow him because he's there at the courthouse showing people coming in, showing people coming out, all of those things. So, and he's grinding nonstop. So let me pull this up as we see a little bit of what he's talking about. So this is his page. Now let's hear a little bit from Uda, and then we're gonna read everything.
He's going crazy, whatever the case. Ironically, Diddy comes outside. Remember, this is the burner phone. She gave like this other phone that you're using that you don't want nobody to use. It's called a burner phone. Diddy comes out and says, who you was talking to? What happened? No, let me get that phone right there. Let me see that phone. Diddy takes the phone from her, says, who's this? Calls the last number back and says, B? What number is this? And then the man start going to flipping. I said the man start going to flipping. The man start going to flipping. I said it's crazy. But that's how she got blown up. She tried to store the number, the burner phone number, under like another friend's number that she has as a friend. But when Diddy saw it, he just called back the last number, and it was obviously Cassie. And then
all right, so what he's talking about is when Diddy found out that Cassie was creeping with Kid Cudi, and Kid Cudi had her up in the hotel room, and Capricorn, she was calling them and trying to check up on them, and Diddy found out because Capricorn was in his presence trying to call. He found out that it was Cassie and so on. So that's what he's talking about right here. We're just going to listen to a little bit, and then we're going to get into the line by line.
He flew into a rage, whatever the case may be, and this is when he went about going to see about her. When he couldn't find her, he said that he told her, you better bring her here. He told her to tell Cassie that if Cassie don't come, or when she go to get Cassie, that something bad gonna happen to her. Because she was also threatened to be thrown into the East River one day. And she had to take lie detector tests because they thought that Capricorn was stealing or something, allegedly. She said, I never stole nothing. She said, I had to do a lie detector test all day. And then this guy brought me back, Paul or whatever, brought me back and then brought her back to the place. 5 days, all day, lie detector tests about some things that went missing, some items that she said I had nothing to do with.
All right. So that was Uda on Go. We're going to check in on Uda later. But that was him basically giving his accounting of what was said in court. Now let's go to Inner City Press and see what the goings-ons is as goings-ons. I see Happy backstage. I'm going to bring you up in a sec. Let's read some of these posts from Inner City Press, and then we're going to get into pulling everybody up. So let's get into when the jury comes in. Oh, and they also, in addition to wanting to strike Kid Cudi's testimony, they also wanted to throw out the doctor, the DV expert that came, and she didn't really evaluate anybody individually, but she was giving her basic synopsis on how people react to trauma, why they would go back, why they might, not leave out of fear and things like that. They tried to strike her testimony as well, all right? So let's pull up Inner City Press and read through it. All right. So it says, Judge, now as to Mr. Miscudi's testimony, which seemed like an opinion, how is it admissible given the requirements of Rule 701? The government says, we'd like to look at the cases submitted by the defendant, then put in a letter. And then the judge was like, all right, y'all hash that out, and then bring in the jury. So the jury comes in. They said, call your next witness. The government calls Capricorn Clark. They wanted to know where she grew up, and she stated that she grew up in San Francisco, then she moved to LA. Now, she worked for Def Jam, then she worked for Death Row, and she was like in with Suge Knight. So they wanted to know, like, you work for Diddy and you also was working for Suge Knight? Like, how that, like, what's the tea with that? Because anybody knows, or everybody knows, that Suge Knight and Diddy have been rivals forever. Like, they're the ones who kicked off the whole East Coast versus West Coast thing. So they're like, girl, you was working with Death Row and then you was working with Diddy. Like, what's that giving? What's going on? So she said that she knew Suge because he's the father of one of her friend's child. All right. So then they're like, okay, so then you start working for Sean? She said yes. And you know, like, yeah, started working for him. And then they made her identify him. Okay, like, okay, you know, you see him in the courtroom type stuff. She's like, he's over there with the blue sweater. She worked for him from 2004 to 2012. So then they jumped right on into the kidnapping stuff right away. Like, right away, like, girl, were you kidnapped? Like, let's get to it. All right, we got enough background. We got enough, you know, okay, you knew Suge, he your friend, baby daddy. You start working for Sean. Now let us know, were you kidnapped? Okay, so they jumped right on into the kidnapping. She says, yes. They said, when did you first meet Combs? She said that she met him when she moved to New York in 2002. She said, we were super platonic friends. You know, she said a headhunter said I should work for him as a personal assistant. And she did until 2006. So she started in 2004. And from 2004 to 2006, she was a personal assistant. And they wanted to know, like, what did that consist of? Like, what were your duties as a personal assistant? She said that she would shadow him from the time that he woke up. And then she started to work as the head of, so she went from working from him as a personal assistant, and then she started working as the head of women's for Sean John's brand. So then they wanted to know, okay, so how long did you do that? She said a year. So after she worked as the head of women's for Sean John, then she became the global brand director for Sean Combs. And she said her job was basically to grow the brand. She says she was terminated until 2016 for, I guess, the Cassie stuff. They said, did you work in the building? And she said, yes. She said, we moved there in 2005. She says, on your first day, where did Mr. Combs take you? She said, Central Park after dark, along with Uncle Polly. He looked like a linebacker. So she like, the first day on the job, he taking her to Central Park with this big linebacker football looking dude in Central Park. So she says, you know, she's there with Uncle Polly. It's nighttime. It's, you know, it's dark outside. And then they say, they show her a photo of him. They like, does this photo look like him? They said, no, he doesn't have on blackout shades he wore all the time. And then they said, what did Mr. Combs tell you in the park? She said that since I worked for Suge Knight, if anything happened, he might have to kill me. Okay? So basically, in the park, they like, okay, you work for Suge? What's tea with that? All right? And then I heard from, you know, basically, she was like, yeah, you know, I thought you knew about it. I thought you knew that I worked for him because this other person basically sought me out, and they were basically pressing her. All right. Now, inner city press kind of misses out the details. So that's why it's like really cool to see like the people that are actually in the courtroom that give their first hand. So they're like, listen, they was pressing me in the park. They pressing me about it. I'm over here like, listen, yeah, I thought you knew I worked for him. Like, why wouldn't you know? And so Diddy is like, all right, like, just know that if anything go awry, if you do anything that is anything that I feel like is op behavior. Now, they didn't say this, but I'm just adding in. Basically, that's what they was telling her. Like, you do something that make us feel like you a op, itch, we gonna get you up out of here. All right? We gonna KILL you, and you gonna get up out of here. So once they said that, it was objection. They said overruled. You know, how did you take that? Like, what did you feel when they got you in the park after dark pressing you about working for Suge Knight and telling you that they're going to kill you if you be on some options? Okay? So she said, seriously, it had, what'd she say? Gravitas? How did you react? She said, I didn't have anything to do with that stuff. Objection, sustained. It says, and what was Polly's role? She said, all aspects of Mr. Combs' movements, I guess he was the person to handle all of his movements. She said he was there to keep him safe. And then she said the other security that he also had, because they wanted to know, okay, he was the security, but who were the other security guards that was working for him? And she said the other security was D-Rock, Roger Bronze, and Ruben. So they wanted to know, okay, who's D-Rock? A good friend of Biggie Smalls, running back type body. So from her, I don't remember them asking like what type of body types the other people had. Like when they had the assistant on the stand, when they had other people on the stand, I don't recall them asking them like, okay, what was their body type like? So they are laying it on thick with Capricorn to basically give a picture to the jury that these were big, intimidating men, and she is this small damsel of a woman that they're putting fear in. They, you know, these big linebacker football player like dudes, and then it's Diddy, and then they got her after dark, and you know, so they're asking her descriptions of not only who they are, what their role is, but how did they look? What was your perception of these people to basically show the jury these was some guys, and I'm in fear of my life if I do anything wrong, because look at me and look at these big ones. You know? Basically, that's what it's given. So it says, did you ever observe Mr. Combs with a pew-pew? She says, yes, in my home. They said, okay, and did he talk about it? She said, Mr. Combs told Chris Lighty that he had a pew-pew. And he said that he had a problem with 50 Cent. Okay, so I guess they were talking about a situation where Diddy had a run-in with 50 Cent. And then once he had this run-in with 50 Cent, then they basically had to, you know, talk about that pew-pew talk. What is given? We got to be a muscle to 50. Like, what we got to do? We got to do something to 50 or what? You know? So then it says, all right, so, They said, were you ever accused of stealing jewelry? She says, yes. Jewelry, it had been given to me. It was a loan. And it went missing? Yes. What did you do? She said, from Teterboro, I called 1440 and told them to lock it down. What did Uncle Polly do? He questioned me for 3 hours. All right, so after he questioned you, then what happened? You went home? She said, to Queens, yes, with Uncle Polly. He searched my house. All right, so she said, listen, this big linebacker dude done came and pressed me about the jewelry that was a loan to me. And then after, he went and searched my house. All right. So, child, can you imagine? Like, what? So, they said, where did Uncle Polly take you? They said the address to where he took her. And then she said that that basically the place was being fixed up. She said, I didn't know that Uncle Polly took me to the 6th floor. The door was locked behind us. There was a 6-foot folding table and a heavy set man. So I guess this goes into where he was doing the lie detector test. So they took her to like an empty building in New York. All right. So after they went to her house, they searched her house. Then they took her to an empty building, took her to the 6th floor. And when they got to the 6th floor, they locked the door behind her. She said there was a 6-foot folding table and a heavy set man. They said, can you describe him? She said, basically it was a nigga that was like 5 of her. Okay? She like, look at me. And he was like 5 of me. Can you imagine somebody that big? Come on now, they trying to paint the picture. She said it was 2 linebackers. He was chain smoking. All right. So her description of a linebacker is somebody that is 5 times her size. And it was 2 of them. One over there smoking like a chimney, and the other one is there. So she said, did Uncle Polly stay? And she said, no, intermittently he came back. So he was in and out, basically. Like he'll leave, come back type thing. And then they said, what did the heavy set man say? He said, I was there to take a lie detector test. What did he say would happen if you failed the lie detector test? She said, they would throw me in the East River. So then it was objection, sidebar. So they told her, girl, if you fail this lie detector test, if we find out that you stole this jewelry that was given to you as a loan, your body gonna end up in the river. Basically. Okay? This is just a summary. But yeah, so that's what it's giving, like, girl. And Diddy's lawyer was like, we can't have her saying nothing like that. Come on now, get it together. Get it all the way together. All right. So the judge was like, all right, you could proceed. So then they wanted to know what his demeanor was. She said his demeanor was very serious. I was terrified. Did you want to be taking this test? She said, no, I was afraid. Like, can you imagine you go from chilling, these people sweep you up, they take you to your house, search your house, then you go to an abandoned building. You got these 2 random big linebacker dudes that's 5 times your size telling you if you fail the test, you're going to end up in the river. And then you all know that the lie detector test, number 1, is not completely accurate. And we all know that the lie detector test can give a false read if you're scared and nervous. So you in this abandoned building, there's nothing in the building. You go up to the 6th floor. It's just you and this security team, these big linebacker dudes telling you that you got to take a lie detector test. Now, whether you took it or not, like who wouldn't be shooken up from that? You get what I'm saying? Like, that is something that would automatically make you shaken up a bit, like, and scared, like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, if I fail this test, what's gonna happen? You get what I'm saying? Like, even if I didn't take the jury, I'm scared that the test might be bad and I'm gonna get thrown in the river. So they're like, okay, you know, she said no. So she said, how was the prosecutor said, how was the test? She said that, you know, basically she had wires on her and they questioned her and they wanted to know, did she steal the jury? So they said, did he tell you the results? I guess the person told her that she needs to calm down because they couldn't get a good reading. And they might have to throw her in the East River. They like, okay, so you taking a test, they not getting a good reading because you over there scared and nervous, and they telling you, you better calm down or else you gonna be in the fucking river. Excuse me, sir. You're gonna throw me in the river? Like, no ma'am, no ham, no turkey. No ma'am, no ham, no turkey. And on that note, that's when she was supposed to have her fan from niquelaclaire.com. Now, this right here is my website. And as soon as he started talking about all of this throw you in the river mumbo jumbo, she was supposed to whip out one of these fans that is available on my website and tell him, listen, sir, okay, listen, I'm gonna need you to talk to me nice because this is a lot. Talk to me nice, sir. This is not the time or the place, and you got me under all of this intense stress, and you want me to give you guys accurate details and accurate reading, and y'all got me under all this pressure, like you got me in fear for my life. Talk to me nice, okay? She's supposed to whip out one of these fans. Talk to me nice. Available on my website, www.niquelaclaire.com. They are on sale right now. And I have Brown Skin Beauty as well. Check that out as well. And we got so many other designs on my website that are available right now. And the fans are not the only thing that are on my website. If you get like lingerie or adult goodies or anything like that, you could put in the coupon code no Diddy and get a surprise little coin off on your website. But let's get back to the reading of this because, you know, that's why y'all here. And shout out to everybody who's been shopping with me. All of the orders that have been coming in the last week are going to go out today. I was out of state. You know what I mean? Now I'm back home. And the post office was closed yesterday. So today, we're going to get all y'all orders out. Thank y'all so much for shopping with your girl. Y'all been over there. Y'all been doing the damn thing with them orders. So thank you. And make sure you get it before it sells out. So let's get back to it. Anyways, so they told her, girl, we ain't getting no good reading on this. You need to calm down before we throw you in the river. And we not, come on now. We need to figure out if you stole the jury. Get it together. Get it together. So they wanted to know, was anyone else in the building? She says, not to my knowledge. And then they said, did you have free will to leave? Like, could you leave if you wanted to? And she said no. Polly said no. So Polly told her, like, sit there, take this test, and you'd listen to what I say. Okay? Now I'm adding extras onto it, but basically building the atmosphere, that sounds like what it's given. So she then said, or the prosecutor said, what did Paul say at the end? She said that he'd come back the next day to figure his out. We started again, another lie detector test in the same location all day. So they're like, listen, we didn't get the reading that we needed. We could not find out if you really stole the jewelry or not. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to bring you right back tomorrow. So she did a lie detector test that day. They didn't really get the results that they wanted. So they said, listen, we're going to have you come back tomorrow. All right? So they brung her back the very next day, and she had to do a lie detector test again the very next day. All right? So it says, what? Okay, so it says, Okay, so what did they say? She said they come back the next day to figure it out. We started again, another lie detector test in the same location all day. They says, were you free to leave? She says, no. They said, how long did this go on? She said, 5 days. Can you imagine being in an abandoned building, forced to take a lie detector test over and over and over again for 5 days? I couldn't imagine. But I also couldn't imagine all of this stuff happening and then me going back to work and not then back to back. I understand fear and all that. So, it's like crazy mind like that's going on. Like you scared. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. So they said, did you tell anyone where you were? And she says, no, like I was just trying to survive. Okay, I'm just trying to survive. And I worked under NDA. Objection. So, it wasn't until recently that people found out that working under an NDA, thank you for whoever just ordered on my website. Okay, I heard that. Talk to me nice. Just sold. Thank you. But anyways, can you imagine the atmosphere that you signed this paper, you signed this NDA, and you're thinking that anything that happens to you, you can't talk about. A lot of people were not educated on NDAs until recently, where people are finding out now that an NDA does not cover criminal activity. So she was working under an NDA thinking that everything that's done to me, criminal or otherwise, I'm just assuming that's what she's thinking. Because a lot of people didn't know that NDAs did not cover criminal activity. So that's why Diddy's lawyer, he objected to that quick fast. Like, listen, we're not about to go down this road. Objection. Okay, he said, child, before you get to going off the rails, talking about why you worked under NDA and why you thought you couldn't say nothing. Objection. So the judge sustained the objection and they told the jury to disregard the last answer. And they said, what would you have been doing? They said, she said, shadowing Mr. Combs. So what happened after the 5 days? After the 5 days, she was able to return back to work. And basically, Mr. Combs would see her the next week. And then they wanted to know, okay, so after you went through all of that and you over here doing all these lie detector tests and whatnot, did he ever talk to you about it? And she said no. Like this wasn't no conversation with her and Diddy. They said, "Why did you continue to work with Mr. Combs?" She said, "If I'd left, they'd think I stole." So she's basically like, listen, they done held me up in a building for 5 days, accusing me of stealing. Then they let me go back to work. If I suddenly leave and stop working for him, she's over there mind thinking, okay, if I leave, they're going to think I stole. But if I stay, can you imagine? Can you imagine? I mean, that sounds plausible to me. Like, I'm held up. They telling me if I mess up the test, I'm going to be thrown in the East River. They let me go back to work. And then if I suddenly say I'm leaving, then it's like, that's some trippy stuff right there. That is some trippy stuff, okay? That is some trippy stuff. We're going to take a break and read some more, but let's go to the StreamYard really quick. Let me see if anybody's on the StreamYard. Oh, y'all done clicked off the StreamYard. Let me drop the link again. Y'all supposed to stay on the StreamYard and wait until we get a break, and I could break to y'all and come back. Anybody want to chime in on what we've heard so far? If not, then we will continue to read some more. But I kind of wanted to just have a pause, hear from y'all, and then read some more. But if nobody is ready to talk, then we will go back to reading some more. But I could not imagine working under these type of conditions. I believe that Diddy was hell on wheels, and I think that he created an environment that he thought he was bigger than the program. All right, how do you say your name? Qdote?
Yes.
What's your thoughts so far?
Um, um, I think that oh, hold on. I don't know why it's not letting me.
All right, we're gonna come back to you if you're not
Okay.
ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
I think that the Capricorn Clark testimony. First of all, I saw the Rico prior to this, but I think that this really drives the nail in the head. You know, like her testimony is really showing the enterprise. It's really showing how many people were involved. It's really making this more of a team effort as opposed to how the defense was always trying to make it just about domestic violence. And it really just, for me, I feel like even though they do a good job at sowing seeds of doubt, I do feel as though they're only doing character assassinations. And I feel like if you have just a little bit of education, you can see right through that, because they are not able to address that any of the acts, the incidents, or violence that occurred in any of the testimony. Maybe Don's was a little bit weak, but all of the other victims and people who went on the stand, all they could do was attack their character and say, "Oh, well, oh, you're out for money. Oh, you're out. Everybody's out for money." But it's like, yeah, but you didn't address any of the violence that occurred. You didn't address any of the abuse that occurred. So, for me, it just feels like, while I think the prosecution could have made a stronger case and still can, I think that they're doing a really good job. But I do think his defense is doing an excellent job at sowing seeds of doubt. So, they only need one juror to say not guilty. And
Yeah.
we'll
I
see
don't want
how
to
it
get all
plays
up.
out.
All right, thank you. And how do you say your name again?
You said it correctly.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm like, I didn't
Yes.
know.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
allowing me
And
to speak. I've been
come.
following you for forever, so it's been so nice to get up here for one time and just speak to you.
Oh, thank you. And make sure to come back again. I love your analysis.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
YM Droid.
Hey, how are you?
Hey.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts so far? And then just a disclaimer, no profanity, no like, crazy language.
No worries.
All right.
My first time calling in with you, but I've been on a couple of other call-ins before, not trying to get you demonetized.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
So I agree with the previous caller, and I really hope that some of what Capricorn is testifying to starts to get some of the court of public opinion away from Ryan and Diddy's Tootsie Roll on this, because oh my man, when I heard her, honestly, when I heard Cassie, I'm like, this man going to jail. And then you start to hear all of the people, well, nah, Cassie is just this, and she's a loose woman, and blah, blah, blah.
She wanted it, and blah, blah.
And it's like, it's just domestic violence. I'm like, first of all, what's wrong with you all that you hear about this man beating this girl to a pulp, dragging her around like a rag doll, and that ain't that bad. You all have some problems anyway, if that's your line of defense. But with Capricorn, they can't use that. They can't say that she's a bitter ex or she's jealous of the new girlfriend or anything like that. And honestly, so I was watching, I'm not trying to, cross promote people, but I was watching a different live stream from a lawyer. And she was saying that one of the objections that they made was to not have Capricorn Clark reveal the settlement amount that she got for Diddy, whereas with Cassie, they wanted it all out there to try and paint her as a gold digger. And in her opinion, which makes sense to me, that's because they paid Capricorn Clark peanuts. This girl who lost both of her parents at a young age, like just before she started working with this man, Diddy is a predator. In my opinion, he knew exactly what to look for. With Cassie, from telling her to call him her grandfather's name, which gross, to intentionally trying to hire somebody that he knew that he would be able to exploit. She honestly has an employment case, if nothing else. So she was working a ridiculous number of hours, and the male assistants testified that they were as well. So it could be argued that that's kind of like standard practice for that role. But she's out here just, like going from dusk till dawn, taking care of this freaky ninja's desires and all of this stuff, and getting paid less than they were. Every single white man that came up there and testified that they were an assistant to him was making more than she was.
Ooh, and clock it. They weren't making that much more, because I think James was making like 70,000,
and Capricorn started at 65.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's it may not be egregious. I'm not saying that the guys he had in there were really making bank, but he set this woman up in a position where, one, she started off making less than the men that he hired to basically do the same role. Then after all of this stuff,
not defending Diddy, but I think the year that they worked there factors in too. She started working in 2004. I think James started working in 2000, and I have to get my notes. But anyways, go ahead.
Okay. But at any rate, so he set it up. Obviously, there were never any upgrades or pay bumps or bonuses or anything like that was substantial. And honestly, for all of the stuff he had them doing, there's not enough money in the world. Yeah. But at any rate, so he sets her up like that. And then I hope that at some point they focus more on how she could not find another job. And I don't know if they're going to be able to prove his role in that. But if anyone has had the experience where they're in an industry that's not that large and they know that they can get blackballed, I think just for going against someone, or that, that previous reference is going to be super important. And withholding that is really going to damage your future earnings potential. He did her so dirty, and I'm glad that they are bringing her in, not only to support Cassie's testimony, which again to me is believable, and well, it was just a mess. Well, he was beating her across state lines and dragging her across state lines, so it's more than DV there. But to add her into the mix where there's not an actual component, I think just really, like the previous caller said, puts the nail in the coffin. And I hope this man goes to jail. What I think might happen, I think the biggest risk is that he's not found guilty on all charges. I don't think there's any way that he skates on everything. But if from some notes that I've heard, there is one bird on the jury, who I think, like, when Don Richard was testifying, was hooking into every little discrepancy. Yeah, see, he attempted to throw the eggs. He didn't really throw the eggs. And it's like, really? Y'all sat there and watched that video with him dragging Cassie down the hall, and your biggest thing is, well, she's lying about those eggs, or he only threw the eggs at her, not the skillet. It's I'm like, okay, that's tomato. You all are arguing.
I mean, I disagree a little bit, but go ahead.
And tell me, chime in.
Okay, so I was there for the Don testimony. I wasn't in the courtroom, but I was in the overflow, and I was in the front row, and I'd seen Don, and as she was testifying, Don looked like a liar. Like her demeanor, the way that she was up there, the way that she was answering questions, her voice changed, like she was talking regular. Then when they caught her up on a lie, she started talking in baby talk, and she started, what did you say? Like, it was just crazy. Like, the discrepancy of whether somebody hit somebody with a pan or picked up eggs and threw it, that's to me is vastly different. But because it's like, if you've seen somebody get hit with a pan, you know that they got hit with a pan. If somebody picked up eggs and they threw eggs, throwing eggs at somebody is not as big as, that's two different things to me. And they were like, didn't you change your story here? Didn't you change your story there? And then she was like, yeah. And then she started talking in this baby talk. And then they were like, like, I don't know, Don, I'm listening to everything you say, but when it come to Don, child, she was a mess up there. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, and obviously I don't have that perspective because I didn't hear it directly. And I think I'm just listening to notes. But to me, and for the jury, that might be part of it too. But to me, I think just with the pattern, even if it was hot eggs, like if you're grabbing eggs fresh from the skillet and somebody that could still burn you. It's not the same as a cast iron coming at your head for sure, but it's definitely something that's harmful. And I think just overall to me goes to the pattern of Diddy as basically someone who used violence in order to control his employees. Because at that point, and I think that's what everybody's forgetting, that Cassie was not just his girlfriend, that she was in what I think is an exploitative 10 album deal. That girl ain't got 10 albums in her. I mean, bless her, but there's no way. I don't even know if Whitney had 10 albums, before she passed, but I'm just saying, no, like 10 albums is a lot. Does Beyonce even have 10 albums?
I think Beyonce got a lot of albums. Hold on, let's do a quick Google. Hold on.
Okay.
How many albums has Beyonce released? Beyonce has released 8 solo studio albums plus her other albums that she did, 5 live albums and 3 compilation albums. So
all right. Well, so okay. So even if we're generous, you got Beyonce who got 10 albums. There was never any point. I mean, like, where again, that bless her, I sincerely wish her well after dealing with this demon, but she ain't got 10 albums in here, and he knew that. But So you got her, whatever. She's locked up into this deal, which is basically a lifetime, if you really think about it, or like certainly a career lifetime, if you think about it. Because how long did it take Beyonce to get to 10 albums?
Yeah, her first solo album was in 2003.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
And number 8 is Cowboy Carter, which was just recent.
Yeah, so he has her locked up in this, what basically amounts to maybe like a lifetime career type album deal. She's employed by him, and whether it's eggs, whether it's a skillet, I think that just goes to, again, to me, that goes to the RICO of why isn't this just DV? Because not only was Cassie the girlfriend, and people can argue about that if they want. I think where I stand on that, but they can go back and forth on that if they want. The point is, he definitely, around other people, in private, I'm sure, regularly employ violence as a means of controlling his employees. And that's why I say, like, I think that Dawn is credible, because whether it was eggs and she's getting caught up on the details, like, maybe in some of the interviews she embellished or she went a little bit off, maybe they didn't prep her appropriately for that cross, or, for her testimony. Mm-hmm. But whatever it is, I think the substance of what she's saying is believable. And again, that's like not being there, just the substance of him basically, like, kind of doing some type of violent act. And again, even if it's hot eggs or something, I think they said that he was throwing apples at Gina. So, we know that he uses food as a weapon sometimes, and not in any, cute food fight type of way, where he's just picking up whatever is convenient to him and throwing it. And so there is a difference. I mean, there's a difference between him throwing that vase and throwing one of the flowers. But I'm just saying, like, the whole pattern of violence, to me, I think, like, has been supported by everybody who's been up on that stand.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Neek.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right. Last person, Oracle, before we go back to reading, what's your thoughts so far? No cursing, no, just condense the language. Oracle, unmute your mic. Oracle, go.
Sorry about that, Neek. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thanks. She's gonna be done that quick. So I just want to say that thank you for covering the trial. And I thought you did good last week.
Oh, thank
out
you.
on the streets of New York. But I want to say that in my opinion, it was over for me. Well, it was over for me when Cassie spoke. It was over for me when they played the video, because it doesn't matter what he says, in my opinion, or what defense he tries to make. When you see that video of him actually doing what he did to her in that hotel room, that is, for me, that is part of RICO also, because she was trying to leave and he clearly detained her. So that is like kidnapping for me. And also, what the mom said, they didn't even cross-examine the mom at all about her testimony, coupled with the fact that he did settle with her within less than 24 hours, so he got to be guilty of something. Mm-hmm. In my opinion.
What do you think about Capricorn's testimony so far?
Oh, I thought she was very credible. I'm waiting to see what the defense is going to try to question her, because she is not a she's not a love interest or whatever. And why did you put your hands on this woman? Okay, this ain't now. You shouldn't put your hands on anyone, but this ain't even your girlfriend or nothing. She worked for you. You gonna make her get in the car and show you where this man live. You gonna make her call what's her name, or text Cassie and say, he got you and he ain't gonna let you go until you pop up. So then she pops up, he commenced to beat her butt. I think that she, pretty much backed up everything and more that Kid Cudi had to say. And I was shook by Kid Cudi's his testimony as well, when he said he kept asking him, do he want something to drink? I was like, child, you better be glad you didn't drink that water.
Right.
And but I think that Capricorn did a wonderful job. And as far as the defense team goes, they know that they're grasping at straws. I think that Diddy's God complex got him thinking that he gonna win. That's why he didn't take that plea deal. I think he should have took it. I think he is a demon. I think he did everything and more. I just hate that. You know what I hate, Nick? And I'm gonna get off here, Chef. I hate the fact that what is her name? Cassie wasn't around during those Tupac Biggie days. And because maybe then if she was around, they could go back even further.
If she
So,
was
but I
around
think
back
that
then, he
hopefully,
would have been dating a minor. He found out about her and it was introduced to her at 19. If she was around any time before that, she would have been a little kid.
I know maybe if she, I'm just saying maybe she was, oh shoot, it might not have mattered to him one way or the other, but perhaps if she was 19 or so, back then. And the reason why I say that is because Diddy got a lot to pay for, in my opinion. I don't care what nobody say. I can't stand all these black male apologists on here. Oh, she got beat up because she was cheating. Number one, they wasn't married. And if she was trying to get away and she was looking for somebody to care for her, she can do that because they're not married. So she cheating when she start going with Kid Cudi, but she ain't cheating on you when you got all these ex-workers going through there while you sitting there watching. That's not cheating though. Now I'm just trying to figure out what the definition of cheating is. If her being with multiple men in front of you, as opposed to her saying y'all broke up and her going with Kid Cudi. Like I don't understand the definition of cheating.
All right. Well,
You
thank you,
know.
Oracle.
All right, thank you. Have a good day. Keep doing a good job.
All right. Thank you. All right. Jordan, I could take you real quick or you could wait until I read some more and then bring you on. You want to go real quick and then wait or what? Are you there?
I'll go. Yeah, I'm here. I'll go real fast. I gotta go back in my office in 1 minute, but no, I wanted to bring up Allie Carter. I keep seeing that name come up, so I went down a rabbit hole on TikTok, and I was like, are they gonna bring up anything about her or any of the other quote unquote little people that they seen at these Diddy parties? And two, what did I put in here? Oh,
Hello?
oh my God.
Hello?
I'm sorry. Yeah, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, dang, you didn't hear me at all. I was saying, are they going to bring up Allie Carter, and are they going to bring up the other celebrities?
Your thing is going in and out. So maybe call us when you get another break, okay, Jordan? It's cutting in and out. All right, so let's go back to the thing that... Let's go back to the testimony. All right, so where we left off... Ooh, darn it. So where we left off... Where did we leave off? What happened? Oh. All right, so where we left off was her going on her 5-day lie detector test situation. And then after 5 days, she returned back to work. She said that she saw Diddy the next week after that. So let's get into the rest and see what's going on. Y'all know y'all can always support the stream by way of Super Chat. We appreciate those so much. This is my Cash App on the screen if you are enjoying the commentary. But y'all know y'all can always support for free by hitting the like button, hitting the share button, and all of the things of the things. And this right here is my website, niquelaclaire.com as well, where I have a bunch of goodies on there as well. Now, let's get into it. So she said that, she was doing this lie detector for 5 days. She went back to work. They wanted to know if Puffy basically talked to her about it. She's like, no. She didn't want to leave working for him because she felt like they would think that she's the one who stole. So they said, what were your days like? And then she says, from his townhouse at 74th Street and Park in the morning to daddy's house to the studio at night. So basically, she would start her day at his townhouse, and then she would end her day at his studio, daddy's house. How much sleep did you get? She says on a good day, she would get 4 hours. And on a bad day, she would get maybe 2 hours. She said, I got a stress condition. I was paid $55K. They said, did you get paid overtime? She says, no. I spoke to the head of HR, and the head of HR said that she was owed $80,000. And so I guess they must have gave her a paper. Thank you for the super chat. I guess they gave her a paper that was like, listen, this is the overtime. This is how much you owed. This is how much, he needs to pay you. So she goes and takes the paper to Diddy, like, look, Diddy, here's the paper. You owe me $80,000, okay? You owe me $80,000. And they're like, okay, so what did Diddy do when you gave him this paper that showed that you were supposed to get paid $80,000? And then she said, Diddy ripped the paper up like, girl, bye. Basically, girl, bye. So then they wanted to know, and this is where the Kim Porter stuff come up, and Kim Porter being in hotels. Now, if you guys remember, when I talked to you guys last week, the assistant said that he would advance hotels for Kim Porter. Now, to me, they were kind of setting the stage to where it seemed like Kim Porter, now that hasn't come up yet, and they have not said that Kim Porter was engaging in freak-offs, but they're saying everything else but that, okay? So last week when I was in court and I testified about what the assistant said, he said that he would set up hotel rooms for Kim Porter, and they wanted to know what items would be there. And they said, the baby oil and all of the typical Diddy essentials were in the hotel for Kim Porter. But then they breezed by that. So I'm like, okay, so they introduced that, but then they breezed by it real quick. So now they're asking Capricorn about her setting up hotels for Kim Porter as well, okay? And I'm like, are they being respectful because Kim Porter is deceased and they're not basically revealing that she was in these freak-offs? Because again, it hasn't officially come out, but they're slowly building the stage. Now, there might be a particular witness that brings all of this to a head. So they're giving us the slow build, but each person is giving little nuggets about him staying in hotels with Kim Porter and having baby oil and all of the Diddy essentials for the freak-offs, okay? Now, they're not saying that she was in a freak-off yet, but they're having these people testify that the hotel was set up, Kim Porter was there, and the Diddy essentials was on deck. So let's get into it. So now, as for Capricorn, they say, okay, so would Mr. Combs stay at hotels? She said, yes. They would say, okay, so who was he staying in hotels with? They said Kim Porter once a week. What names would he book the room under? He would book the room under Frank Black or Frank White. They said, and what did he book the room under for the girlfriends? She said under Jackie Star. Where did he stay? The Continental in Buckhead in Atlanta, Beverly Hills Hotel in LA. And then they say, okay, so when he would go to these hotels and he had bags, what were in his bags? She said he would have a camera, small bottles of baby oil, and lube. But he had cameras every time. What would you be doing? Watching TV, ordering room service, keeping up on sleep? Afterward, I'd sweep the room for anything left behind. they wanted to know, so basically your job after he had this alone time with Kim Porter and he had the baby oil, the Astro Glide, and all of that, after he was done with Kim Porter, what did you have to do? Okay, so it sounds like she off to another room or something like that. She's sleeping, waiting around for them to get done, and then she has to go and check the room for any damages. So they want to know, okay, so what did you have to check, like, for damage? She said baby oil. How frequently would Mr. Combs stay in a hotel with Cassie in 2008? She said like once a week at the Le Mirage, the hotel in London. Now, the Le Mirage, this is the hotel that last week the general manager testified to, okay? So hold on, let me get my notes real quick. So she's basically corroborating the general manager of the they pronounced it another way, but the Le Mirage, the El Mirage, or the, however they said the name. The general manager testified that Diddy would come, rent the room, and they would automatically, anytime he was a guest, they would give him a $1,000 automatic accidental charge because he would always mess up the rooms. Now, he testified last week that they had specific notes that he would always damage the rooms with candle wax and oil, and that anytime he came, they had to spray air freshener down the hall. He had certain amenities that he wanted, and they talked about the different profiles that he would set the room under. One was, I believe, Ryan Lopez. Another one was Frank Black. Another one was Frank White. And then they would go from Frank White or Frank Black, and then it would go to Jackie Starr. And they specifically kept talking about a specific date of, I think it was January 2010. They kept highlighting that. But anyways, that was last week's testimony. And now she's talking about when he was with Cassie, what hotel would it be? Now, it's the same one as that the guy came and testified to last week. And she said the L, it's not pronounced how it is written, but it's the La Mirage, however you say it. They would also stay at the London Intercontinental for several days. And they also wanted to know, like, what would happen whenever they were done? Like, what would they do? And she talked about how to replenish themselves from a night of whatever they had going on. He would have them do the IV drips where they would get back in, you know, their nourishments and things like that. So they would have these IV drips that would reprint it. Like, you know, sometimes like you get dehydrated and you drinking all this alcohol or you're doing all of this stuff. So the IV drips would basically flush out their system and replenish, you know, their hydration and things that they would need. So they said, did he speak to you about his relationship with Miss Ventura? And she says, yes. And then they said, okay, so at a time when you was at his house, who was all there, basically? And she said it was me, Lauren London was there, and Chef Jordan in the other room. He called Cassie over and asked her to walk there. And then he said, hey, walk there, hand me that, and go back in the other room. And she did it. And then they said, what did he say? I guess he was referring to the other girls, like, you just won't do that? That's why you don't have a man. And then they're like, okay, so what'd you say after that? She said, you motherfucking right. Did you observe Mr. Combs do drugs? And then she says, a girlfriend in NY, in LA. Oh, so they wanted to know, like, who was the person who he got the drugs from? So I guess she said yes. So she observed him doing drugs. Then they wanted to know who did he get the drugs from? And it says that it was from a girlfriend in New York, and in LA, it was the guy One Stop. Okay, so it was 2 different people was his dealers. Then they wanted to know what type of drugs did you see basically being delivered to him. And then she said it would be Molly, ecstasy, and things like that were delivered to him or to her. Then they said, did he ask you to get drugs for him? And then she says, yes, ecstasy. Then they wanted to talk about a situation that happened in South France. Okay. They said, and in South of France, they wanted to know if she was asked to go and get narcotics for him in France. So she said, yeah, basically he asked me to go get him some cocoa. I said, for who? And they're like, why? She said, I wasn't going to do it given how my mother died. So basically, he asked her to go get him some, okay? And she's like, why would you ask me to do this when you know my mom died from? So she over here feeling some type of way because my mom died from this. And here you are asking me to go get this for somebody? Like, what? So after that, they said objection, sidebar. All right. And then they kept, they did a sidebar. Then they came back. And then it says, who did Mr. Combs say the drugs were for? And then he told her, he said, not me. They said, did you get them? She says, yes, through the Spanish security guard. He also gets the prescription drugs in my name. They were in the toiletry bag I'd carry or security. So you have, not only did he get drugs in her name, you also have his previous assistant testify that prescription drugs were in his name as well. So Diddy, because all of the prescriptions can't go through his alias or whatever he was using, he would get prescriptions in the name of the people that work for him. That was testified last week and now being testified again with her. So they wanted to know, basically, did you ever see like large sums of cash? Did he ever have like big bulks of cash? And then she says, yes, 100,000 euros coming back from New York. They said, where did he get it? He got it from a club booking in Europe. And they said he'd keep it, then give it to security, then into his bedroom, into his personal safe. So they wanted to know, like, did you ever see violence? She says fighting. They said, was Mr. Combs violent with you? She says, yes. At Star Island, he told me, you are not to leave this house. And then they said, okay, so she told she can't leave. Then Pharrell Williams was brought in by boat. She said, I returned Mr. Walker to Palm Island. He called and said, where the are you? You can't have a life. Okay, so she's trying to enjoy the scene. And they like, you here working. You don't get to flock around Miami and thinking that you finna be chilling. So then they said, she said, one time I asked the chef if there was turkey bacon. She said, no effing turkey bacon. I said, I hate it here. The chef told Mr. Combs and he pushed me again and again. So she like, listen, all I wanted was some turkey bacon. They didn't have no turkey bacon, so I'm mad. I'm frustrated. Like, man, I hate it here. I can't even get my turkey bacon. And then she gonna go snitch. Bitch went and snitched on me. And here come Diddy pushing me around. Like, so, they said Diddy was pushing her again and again and again. What did he say when he was pushing you around? And then he said, if you hate it here, get the out of here. And then she said, the prosecution said, did you leave your employment? She said, I did. They said, okay, so you left, but then you returned? She said she returned with a new position. All right. So she left as one position, and then she returned in a whole new position of global and branded director. They said, why? Like, why did you go back? Or why did he want you back, basically? And then it says, he was impressed by what I did in the job. I'd left for a couple of albums. He said you wouldn't have to work directly for me. So she was like, listen, he wanted me to work for him, but he like, listen, I know you probably, I'm adding extras on it. Obviously, this wasn't said, but I'm guessing it was a situation to where it was like, I know you probably don't want to work under me. I done pushed you around. I done made you feel away, but I need your help. Come work for me, but you ain't got to directly work for me. Is you good with that? And I'm gonna make you global brand director. All right? And then she was like, okay, cool. I don't got to work directly under you. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go back. So she went back. And then it says, what were you doing for Cassie? She says she was managing her image, maximizing the optics for her and for Sean Combs. But he had the final approval on everything. They said, in LA, where did you live? She said, a gated community. And then the reason why they went to LA was because they followed Kim Porter there. So prior, they were living in New York. Kim Porter, and there was previous testimony that Kim Porter basically moved to LA, and then Sean Combs decided to follow her there. So they're like, she's like, we basically went to follow Kim Porter there. So they said, where was Miss Ventura? She was in New York on the West End. She would come to LA and stay with him or with me or in a hotel. Who else was Cassie seeing? She was seeing Kid Cudi. Then they said, how did you learn that she was dating Kid Cudi? And Capricorn says, she brought him to my apartment. What did she say? She texted me they were going to this public place in LA. I told her it was a bad idea and to delete the text. Why? If Mr. Combs learned about Kid Cudi, I mean, Mr. Combs paid for my phone and hers. I took Cassie to Best Buy to get a burner phone. So she like, listen, once she started divulging information, I'm like, girl, wait. He paid both our phone bills, honey. Don't send this crap to me. Let me go take you to Best Buy and buy you a burner phone. All right? So she took Cassie to go buy a burner phone so that they can talk without Diddy knowing, because Diddy paid for both of their phone plans. All right? So she said she took her to Best Buy to get the burner phone. And they says, when did Mr. Combs return to town? Not long after. He took Cassie to a hotel, and the hotel was this blah, blah, blah. And then what? She said on December 22nd, 2011, between 5:30 and 6 a.m., there was banging at my door. They said, what did you see through the peephole? It was Puff, and he was furious. Objection. Ask another question. They were told, what was his movement? He was pacing with something in his hand. Did you open the door? I did. What was he wearing? He was wearing a button-down sweater and torn pants, and he was holding a pew-pew. He came into my apartment and said, "Why you didn't tell me? Who is Scott?" I said, "I don't know any Scott." And then they said, "What did he say?" "We gonna kill this." All right. So I guess at that point, Diddy didn't know that Scott is Kid Cudi, because obviously if you're looking at phone records or anything like that, it's going to say the government name and not the slang name or whatever. So he at her door, banging, pacing back and forth. She let him in. He got a pew-pew. And those of you guys who don't know, Scott Miscuddy is Kid Cudi. So they come to her like, "Girl, who is Scott?" Because I see communications between a Scott. Now Scott is Kid Cudi. And so she like, I don't know Scott. Because obviously she probably know him as Kid Cudi. So they said, Diddy told her like, "Why you didn't tell me?" Or whatever. And Diddy was telling her that they was finna kill him. They said, "Where was the gun?" She said, "It was in his hand." I said, "I didn't want to go." He said, "I don't give a what you want. Get dressed." "What concerns did you have?" She said, "He ain't never came to my house before." She said, the prosecutor like, "Did you try to escape?" She said, "No. I listened to what he said. I got dressed." So then they wanted to know who else joined in, like who came along. She said a guy by the name of Ruben. He came in a black Escalade executive class. Where was Ruben? Ruben was the driver. She said she got in the back seat, and on the right-hand side, Diddy was in the left next to her. And then she said usually he would have sat in the front, but he had his pew-pew in his lap while we going. So he done got next to me with the pew-pew on his lap, the driver in the front, and we both sitting there on the way. Child. She said, basically, baby, this was an unusual set of circumstances. I'm over here thinking he finna sit in the front. This motherfucker sit next to me with the pew-pew on his lap. Like, okay. They said, how long does it take to drive from your home at the time to Cudi's house in the Hollywood Hills? She said it basically takes around 15 to 20 minutes. They said, what did Mr. Combs and Ruben do at Kid Cudi's house? She said they went in his house. Like, she saw them break in and go in Kid Cudi's house. They're like, you was able to see that? Like, you could see him go in? She said, yes. So what did you do? She said she called Cassie on the burner phone, and I said, Cassie, where the are you? I told her Puff was at Cudi's house, and then I changed her number in my phone to my best friend Stormy's name. So she over here freaking out like, this nigga is in your nigga house right now. Where you at? What? And so she said she changed the freaking contact from Cassie to Stormy, so that I'm assuming if he came back to the car and he saw that she had an outgoing call, he would see that the last call that she made was not Cassie, it was Stormy, because if he just simply looked at the outgoing call, that's what I'm assuming. So they said, what did you hear on the phone? She said that Kid Cudi was at Cassie's. When did Diddy come back? She said, he took my phone and called the last number. Then I saw Cudi driving up. Mr. Combs saw my face and said, there's that right there. Now, she introduces details that Kid Cudi didn't say. Now, when Kid Cudi was on the stand, he said that he drove home and Diddy wasn't there. He said that he drove home, Diddy wasn't there, and when he got there, he walked in, blah, blah, blah. She's saying that Diddy saw Kid Cudi driving up. Okay, so she's adding, their stories are differing a little bit at this point. Now, did Kid Cudi hold back on testimony to cover for Diddy? Or is she adding extra? I'm going to say that Kid Cudi held back on testimony because, again, it seems like he was holding back a little bit, okay? It seemed like he was holding back. So she's adding extra razzle-dazzle, saying that they saw Kid Cudi drive up. And when they saw him, Puffy seen him like, there that go right there, okay? So she said, basically, hold on, where was I at? She said, we drove off and saw the police driving the other way towards Cudi's. Puff was pulling himself together. We stopped at the Key Club and he told me to call Cassie. The prosecution said, what did he tell you to tell Cassie? That he had me and wouldn't let me go. So he wanted basically her to act as a ransom, basically he wanted her to act like she was the one for ransom. Like, Cassie, your man got me. He not letting me go. Like, girl, come over here because unless you come over here, he's not letting me go. So basically, he was holding her up for ransom in exchange for Cassie. So she said, and the stories, now that I read through it, it wasn't that different. Puff Daddy spotted Cudi as he was driving up, but it didn't say that Cudi locked eyes with Diddy. And it also said that as they drove off, the police were driving the other way. So they basically see Cudi driving up and they peel off. So it is plausible, now that I'm thinking about it, that Kid Cudi could have not seen Diddy. But this is her vantage point, and then there is Cudi's vantage point, all right? And then there are the people who are actually in the courtroom who hear all the details that Inner City Press is not typing. So anyways, so they said, okay, so after he told Cassie that he was holding you and wouldn't let you go, like, what did Cassie do and how did she respond? Cassie was like, okay, come get me. She was calm. Who drove you home? She said, Ruben. What did Mr. Combs then tell you? To convince Cudi not to say that it had been him at his house. She said she went and picked up Cassie. Where did you go? We went to Cudi's and tried to convince him not to file a police report. So I'm guessing her and Cassie drove to Kid Cudi's house and begged him not to file a police report. They said, what did you tell them? That Puff came to my house with a pew-pew. What did you tell them he said? If you tell on him, he'll hurt us all. What was Kid Cudi's reaction? He was mind blown. They said, objection. The jury will disregard. They sustained the objection. They said, okay, act like y'all didn't hear what she just said. What happened at the house? Okay, so then they go to try to convince Cudi not to snitch on Diddy. Then her and Cassie go back to Diddy's house. And so once they get back to Diddy's house, they're like, what happened? They said he was kicking Cassie again and again and again. How was Cassie? She was in the fetal position while Mr. Combs kicked her all the way to the street. She was crying silently. Where was he kicking her? He was kicking her in her backside. And then they said her voice started cracking, like she started to, like, almost about to cry. Like, you know how you getting choked up, your voice start cracking. So she's reliving the moment of him beating Cassie when they got back. She's like, he was kicking her everywhere. In her back, in her backside, and then she starts to get choked up. So then they're like, okay, so where were you? She said she was 5 feet away, and so was Ruben. So Ruben was the security that day, that was the driver, and she said that she was 5 feet away, and so was Ruben. So they have some distance between them. Diddy is just kicking her like he did in the CNN footage, in the fetal position, just kicking her down the street. So they're like, okay, so what did Mr. Combs say to you? He said, if you jump in, I'm gonna fuck you up. So then, okay, so what did security guard Ruben do? Nothing. Okay, so then who did you call? I called D-Rock. I told him, tell your brother to stop. He is kicking the out of her. Then she said, I called Paulie too. I said, he'd take care of it, but Ruben did nothing. Then what happened next? Mr. Combs told me to get the out too. She said, I left on foot, so she didn't even, she got to stepping, walking. They said, could you still see her getting kicked? She said, I was walking up out of there. I was getting up out of there, and as I was walking, up until she was out of my sight, he was still kicking her. So as I made it, up until I made it around the bend, he was still kicking her after he told me to get to stepping. Okay, so he just kicking and kicking and kicking and kicking and kicking her and kicking her because she decided to have a little rendezvous with Kid Cudi. But a lot of people are acting like at the same time, he wasn't having a rendezvous with whoever he wanted to. So this is one of those things where men feel like I can cheat, I can do what I want, I can have with whoever I want, but you can't, type of thing. And mind you, there was also testimony that Cassie was never the main girl. She couldn't go to holidays. She couldn't spend holidays. She couldn't get a bond with the kids. She was left off to the side and she was freaky deakied out. So it's like, okay, I can't go to the holidays. I can't have a career. I can't bond with the children or anything like that. You ain't really claiming me as your main. You letting me go to red carpets and stuff like that. And then you're also dealing with other women. You're dealing with Kim Porter. You got me, Kim Porter, and you at the awards together. You dealing with all these other people. I can't get the top spot, but I can't get another nigga either. Like, at least let me get somebody on the side. Like, you got all these brides on the side. So anyways, so boom. So she said she saw him kicking Cassie all the way around the bend. So then it says, okay, so did you call? I guess they want to know, did she call anybody else? She said she called Regina Ventura. So Regina Ventura is Cassie's mom. All right. So basically she called Cassie's mom and I told her he's kicking the out of your daughter. I can't call the police, but you can. And they said, why you telling Cassie mama to call the police? Why you couldn't call the police? And she said, the mission of the day was to get Cudi. So no calling police. All right. So then they showed her an email and they said, this email, who is it from? She said, Cassie. She wrote that he would be releasing these tapes about me, and he would have someone else hurt me and Kid Cudi. Do you recall if you responded to this? She said, I don't. So they showed her an email that around the time that happened, not only, remember, I was in the court when her mom testified. Cassie was scared for her life. She sent her mother an email as well. So last week when the mom testified, and the reason why she gave Sean Diddy Combs the $20,000, she was scared for her daughter. Cassie sent her an email similar to also sending Capricorn. Can you imagine you being afraid for your life and you're like, let me leave a paper trail in case something happens? That's basically what she was doing. She sent an email to her mom. She sent an email to Capricorn, and she's basically like, listen, on some, if anything happens to me, you know who did it type stuff or whatever. He's threatening to do something to me. He's threatening to harm Kid Cudi, and he's also threatening to release these tapes. She was sending a paper trail in case something happened to her. She sent the same email to Capricorn as she sent to her mama. She was making sure that people knew if she came up missing, who did it. So they show her this email. They say it was sent from Cassie, and she was basically telling him that, you know, Diddy was going to release the tapes, or he was also going to, you know, possibly hurt her and Kid Cudi. And she said she don't remember if she responded or not. So then they said, did law enforcement call you? And she said the arson investigators basically called her. Kid Cudi had given them her name. And she said, when they called me, I hung up on them. I don't want nothing to do with that. Like, child, don't put me in it. I want this to be over. Don't have them calling me. I don't know what you're talking about. Click. Get them off my phone. So then they said, okay, so what did Diddy say to you? He said, I should kill you bees, and I should cut her face. Can you imagine a man being mad that you pulled a U on you? You ain't claiming me, and because a man finds me desirable, you want to cut my face? You want to cut my face? Child. That's what a jealous N-word would do, child. You want to cut her face? Anyways, so I'm going to read some more, but let's listen a little bit more from Sam, the Secret Service, because he was breaking this down a little bit. Let's get a break and hear from him.
It is just intense. I mean, I can't even explain to you how explosive her testimony was on the stand. She was crying. Diddy was in a Mr. Rogers blue shirt. He has a fade. Diddy has a fade. He got some prison haircut in there. It's not good looking. His head looks like some kind of mushroom. It's definitely not a Diddy fade. But oh my gosh, Capricorn Clark's testimony literally could change the whole entire course of it, because unless, you know, we just broke real quick, but unless the cross-examination, they're going to try and poke holes in it. Basically, she's saying that she was kidnapped by the diddler when he found out that Cassie was cheating on him with Kid Cudi. She had gotten Cassie a burner phone, and Diddy basically goes to her house, says, get in the car, you're coming with me to go unalive Kid Cudi. He had a pune on him, and they went to Cudi's house. He broke into Cudi's house and called Cudi from inside the house, and Cudi rushes over there. Cudi gets there and then soon rooms off because he's like, oh, Diddler is going to unalive me, right? This is such a crazy story. And then what happens is he says, if you don't go get Cassie to come to me, I'm going to unalive all of you mother effers. So they go Cassie comes over to Diddy's house. He kicks Cassie for like 20 feet repeatedly. Just a brutal, brutal beating. I mean, this whole thing is so crazy. I'm going to get you guys like some quotes and more. I have to get back in there, but I just wanted to give you guys a little piece of what is going on and to let you guys know, because everybody thinks, oh yeah, he's pro Diddy. No, I am watching a sports game, and whether or not you like the one of the teams, one is winning and one is losing, but I have to say, today the prosecution took a huge turn with Capricorn.
Oops. Accidentally, anyways, all right, so I gotta get his page back up. So, that is what Secret Service Sam is saying. Let me get his page back up. I met him up there at the trial. He is such a cool guy. He's a comedian, I guess, but he's going and covering the Diddy trial. Secret Service Sam. He's covering the Diddy trial, and he's been doing a really good job. So let me show you guys his page so that you guys can follow him as well. Hold on. All right, so this is his page right here, Secret Service Sam. He has been boots on the ground covering the Diddy trial. He's been doing a really good job at, basically telling what's going on. Let's also peek in on Uda. Let me see if this is the part where Uda was at in his story.
I don't know what she was in there crying about the items. Like, yo, bro, I still don't know what happened to the items. I don't even know if Puff found the items. But she went through a 5-day grueling lie detector test over the items. She was like, yo, they said, so why didn't you quit right after? She said, I didn't want to just quit right after because you know why? She said she would have felt like, or they would have probably felt like she probably did steal an item because now all of a sudden you getting low when we on your bumper.
Let me fast forward it a little bit into the story.
So that's one session. So, that one session could go in as many long as it could be. Right. See what I'm saying? But why y'all ain't say all these things about Diddy in the beginning? So, you know what I mean? That don't take away from being true or not, right? But it just makes us call into question, what were your intentions then or now? Maybe you wanted a little payoff. So, this is why you wasn't saying something. Or maybe you mad you ain't get paid off. So now you remembering convenient amnesias and convenient remembering. Now you remember. So, that's a lot of those things that the prosecution is leaning on proving. The defense is making their sides too as well. They're proving some of the inconsistencies within some of the witnesses. Barring like Cassie, because they didn't press too hard on Cassie.
Okay, I think he's like skipping around. I was trying to see exactly the Capricorn testimony. Let's get back to it. So Tammy D says Diddy is done. Done. Let me put this on the screen. What do y'all think? Actually, let me put up a poll. Is Diddy done? Do you guys think that Capricorn Clark put the nail in the coffin, or however you said, nail on the head, hit the nail on the head, or put the nail in the coffin? Tammy says Diddy is done. What do y'all think? Actually, let me see. Can I make a poll right here? Oh, start a poll. Oh, wait. Ask a question. Is Diddy... Let's see. Is Diddy done? Is he done? What? Hold on one second. All right, there go my poll. Is Diddy dun-dun? Dun-dun. 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 What is it giving? Or is he getting out? Or will it be a hung jury? Y'all let me know what it do. All right, let's get back to it. And make sure to hit the like button if you guys have not hit the like button already. But let's see. So far, out of 152 votes, 79% say he's cooked. 17% say it might be a hung jury. 5% say that he is getting out. All right. Mia says he is fried. Yuani says she's not convinced. All right. Let's take a couple calls, because we got to break up this testimony. It's a lot being said. And let me hear from some of y'all. Is Diddy done or is Diddy not? Let's hear from a couple of y'all. I'm gonna just take a couple of y'all and then we're going to get back. I want to hear from Yuani. All right. Yuani says she is not convinced. I want to hear from the people mainly who feel like Diddy is not done. Like, girl, he ain't done. He ain't done. Let me hear from the people that say he's not done. Let me hear from the people that say he's done. Let's get a couple of calls in before we continue. Click the link that I just provided. Let's look at the poll. All right, 260 votes say that he's cooked. It's by 78%. 78% of almost 300 votes say that he's cooked. 16% say hung jury. So, DJ Genesis, what it do?
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Hey, what's your thoughts? Is Diddy done?
I think he's done. The only thing that that kind of I think is also a thing that people are not thinking of, or I'm not sure if anyone has talked about this, is the whole aspect of legal precedents, right? So you know what happened with Nature Boy? You know how he he got life in prison for what's it called? Revenge porn.
Mm-hmm.
Revenge porn. So that set a legal precedence, right? So if he's done, what would be the legal precedence here? You can't bring a person into town, or like all this stuff that's really it seems like, I mean, how much of this is going to set a legal precedence when it really comes to the entertainment business, everything? Like once they're able to go after him, who else are they going to be able to go after in that same way of how this case is going?
I mean, they could go after anybody who commits crimes.
Right. Well, but in a RICO way, though, because this is set a precedence from a RICO standpoint, though. Like, if you do more than one thing, now they can get you for a RICO. Because before RICO was about the mob, right? Now, if you say that this is the case of the century and he gets a RICO charge for what he's doing in this situation, then they can charge anyone for a RICO, right?
Anybody who has an enterprise that is doing criminal racketeering.
So think about this, T.I. and Tiny. Remember they had that whole case where they was doing kind of parties similar to Diddy?
And all the cases got dropped.
Did they get dropped?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, interesting. But technically, that could have been a RICO. Like if that would have happened after this case, then that could have been a federal RICO trial.
But the cases were dropped, so if you don't have an enterprise,
that's what I was trying to mainly say. Like
if you don't have an enterprise, then that's not a RICO. So
like, but okay, so Shannon Sharp, right? He's got a case coming up. Say if more than one person says that they took him over, like that he flew them out to see him, and he was setting up this and setting up that.
Setting it up, and he had people working for him, and he had people setting up the hotels and setting up and engaging in the criminal activity, he got people bringing drugs and all of that, then yeah.
Then he would be right. So that would set a precedence for what, because that was how the music industry was back then. You had like Clive Davis and all those different people that were throwing parties and stuff like that. Think about all those parties that were happening in the 90s where you had people that they talk about how they had like plates of this floating around and all kind of wild stuff. Clive Davis would be like prime suspect for a thing like that, right? So I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up. That's all.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you.
All right, peace.
All right. If what they're showing to me is that nobody is above the law. All right. So anybody who commits a crime and you are engaged in a criminal enterprise and you have people working for you and you are committing these acts, that you are not safe, that they're going to go after any and everybody who is thinking that they bigger than the program. All right. So, let's go to Margaret. You gotta cut it off in the back. Cut it off in the back. Cut it off in the back, Margaret, or I'm gonna have to take you down.
That will set a precedence for what?
Okay, she's delayed on the stream. Anybody else want to come up until we get to the I mean, we're gonna read some more, but anybody else want to come up or take one more? I'll take one more and then we'll go back to reading. Right. Kaylin Walker says everybody ain't lying on that man. For real. Did y'all hit the like button yet? And did y'all visit my website? Are y'all in the why do I keep dropping this? Are y'all in the comments? Going to my website, getting the merch. Okay, these are available www.niquelatnight.com. I have several different designs available, and y'all know y'all can always donate via Cash App or via my website that's down below. And these are not the only items that I have on there. You know what I'm saying? I have several other items as well. Okay, we gotta do a brief intermission and show y'all we got boots and baddies as well. Check me out one time. Visit the website one time. All right, summer is cooking up. Things are heating up. And y'all need one of these in your life. Okay? Period. Now, let's get into one more caller and then we'll go to the rest. Neo X.
Hey, peace, Neat.
Hey,
can you hear me, sis? All right. Hey, I just want to speak real quick because it seems like I'm looking at some of the chat and it seems like a lot of people are having a hard time understanding exactly what the RICO is.
Wait, before you go, are you on a headset or something? It's like a muffled sound.
No, I'm not. I had took the headset off, hoping that would sound better. But is that better now?
It's like I don't know what it is. Go talk.
Yeah, I don't.
Talk with the headset.
Let's see. Is that better?
Go ahead. Talk.
All right. I was saying I think some people don't realize exactly what the RICO charge is and what it is that charging him for.
Wait. That made it worse. It's like very staticky.
Yeah, it's because I'm out driving. I'm a truck driver, so I'm moving.
Okay, take the headset off and just talk regular real quick. Sorry. Take the headset off.
What about now? Is that better?
It's still staticky, but the headset made it worse. But go ahead.
Okay, but I think some people don't realize what the RICO charge is. He's been accused of breaking multiple crimes and covering DV case directly, but they're proving that he committed so many DV cases against Cassie and other people that he got away with it because of his enterprise. His business is what funded his ability to get away with these crimes. He also trafficked drugs. We know he had drugs on his plane, that you have people witnessing that he asking for drugs and he got drugs. And then some people need to realize human trafficking, if you pay someone to have sexual contact with you, if they cross that state line, that is considered human trafficking. Prostitution is illegal. It's like sometimes I kind of scratch my head because I be like, dang, people don't know that you're not supposed to pay for X. It's illegal. Just because people rap about it in their songs don't mean that, it's legal. It's illegal. So that's what he's getting in trouble for, because he used his money to cover up all his crimes he committed in the past.
Sorry, y'all. That was my baby. Whenever I get a call from school, child, everything go on pause. But all right, thank you, Neo X.
Yeah, sorry about the sound.
All right, thank you. Honey Trap.
I'm here, Neek. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll keep mine super short, Neek, but Diddy is done. I'm at the point where even if everything gets tossed out, even if he gets to walk away scot-free, Diddy is done. Nobody in the industry is going to want to work with him. He going to have to move to Bali like the other one. I knew he was done ever since Cassie did that first lawsuit. He filed in under 24 hours. Then when the floodgates started to open, Diddy is done. That's really all I have to say. He is done. And the way things is going, I'm considering putting in my own lawsuit because I bought a Sean John shirt in 2004 and it gave me a rash. Diddy is done. He needs to be held accountable.
Not it gave you
my
a
only
rash.
fear is that because so much coons and mammies exist, he might not get the outcome that I want, which is him behind bars. But Diddy is done. He is done. He needs to go lay low. He's done. He's done. It's over.
Thank you. All right. Erica, hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so as far as the lady, I'm not sure if you might have corrected her. She kept saying that because it's in the music industry, it would set precedents, but in RICO, precedents has already been settled. So it doesn't matter what industry. RICO is RICO. If you do any of the acts within, the 10 years, 2 of them under RICO, then you can be hit with charges. So I think a lot of people get it confused that also that you have to make money within a RICO case. RICO, you don't have to show profit of money. And this is like a simple Google search that people really like. It's sometimes just Google it. You'll find out the basic information that you need.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to clarify that for her.
Basically saying that, if you commit the crime, then
right, it don't make I'm like, it's still a crime. Like, I think I posted, when people say, oh, what about this? What about that? Or they might have did it, this other person did it. I just literally say, but did he do it though? Did they do it though? Enough said. Conversation over.
Mm-hmm.
If you did it, you can be convicted of it. And they can prove it.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So let's get back to the reading the transcripts, or not the transcripts, but the testimony as it comes in from Inner City Press. Now let's take a look at the poll that we set up. It is 629 votes, and 74% of you guys. Matter of fact, let me just take a screenshot of this and put it on the screen. Let's do that. That'll be better. That'll be a little bit better, where I taking a screenshot and showing y'all what is going out. What is going on in the screenshot. Pretty much. All right. I don't know how to. What is y'all putting answers and taking them back? What's going on? So, anyways, all right. So let's pull up this poll for y'all. So this is the results before we end out. All right. So 642 votes. And I said, is Diddy done? 74% of y'all say, yeah, he's cooked. 7% say, nah, he getting out. And 18% say he might get a hung jury. We'll do another poll later. But that is the results of that poll. Make sure y'all hitting the like button if y'all have not already. And make sure that y'all are coming here while we break this down all week. I'm going to be going over the testimony. Now, tomorrow is my daughter's birthday, so I might not be talking to y'all and doing the recap, but I might try to slip something in, all right? I might try to slip a little bit of whatever the testimony is tomorrow in, but tomorrow my baby birthday, so, you know, there's that. So anyways, let's get back to it. Now, all right, so we left off talking about the call. So after the situation happened with Kid Cudi's house, and after the situation happened where Kid Cudi's car got the Molotov cocktail, they wanted to know if law enforcement ever called her. And she said that the arson investigators called her because Kid Cudi had given her name, and she hung up on them because she didn't want no parts of that. And then Diddy told her that he should kill her and Cassie, and he should cut Cassie's face. Now, they said, how many times did Mr. Combs threaten you? She said, I'd say 50 times. And then they wanted to know who was there basically when he would threaten her. And then she said D-Rock was there just doubling down on whatever Puff was saying in the moment. So whenever Diddy would threaten her, here D-Rock bobblehead linebacker looking self would be coming in and being a cosign to whatever Diddy said. So then they wanted to know, all right, so who is Harve Pierre? Now, Harve Pierre is one of the bosses, and this is a picture of her and Harve Pierre. So this is her and Harve Pierre right here. And so then they wanted to get into the Harve Pierre tease. Now, I think from the way that they're asking questions, to me, it sounds like they building a case on Harve Pierre, and it sounds like they're building a case on Christina Coram, KK. Now, I seen like headlines of like YouTube videos where they said that Christina Coram, aka KK, is like she turned into a federal informant. I really don't know. That hasn't come out yet in testimony, but the way that they phrase their questions when they ask questions about Harve Pierre and when they ask questions about Christina Coram, KK, it sounds like they're saying like these are the ringleaders of the RICO. To me, that's what it sounds like to me. But let's get into what she says. So they said, basically, who's Harve Pierre? She said, the president of Bad Boy Records. I told him Puff had kidnapped me. What did Harve Pierre tell you? He said, oh, damn, that's crazy. It's going to be okay. I got a termination notice after that. I was accused of not properly putting in for vacation that I was on. So basically, they said, you can get up out of here. Like, damn, that's crazy. He kidnapped you? Okay, well, here's your termination letters. But we're going to say that it's because you didn't put in for a vacation, even though this happened the way it did. Now, I don't know why each live I bring up Harve Pierre, there's people who say Harve Pierre is dead. But when you Google Harve Pierre, it don't say he did. So I don't know where y'all getting that Harve Pierre is dead crap from. Matter of fact, let's do a Google again. Because every live that I bring up Harve Pierre, there's somebody in the chat saying he did. But when I ask Google, is Harve Pierre dead? Google tell me the nigga's still alive. Is Harve Pierre dead? Is he dead? And there ain't nothing online that say he did. So I don't know where y'all getting that from. But anyways, let's get back to the testimony. So anyways. So, all right. So she said that basically he they gave her termination letters. They said, "Had you put in?" She said, "Yeah, I put in for vacation to Harv, Pierre." So ironically, he giving me these termination papers saying I didn't put in on vacation, but I gave the vacation notice to him. They said, "Okay, so what happened? Like, did you lose benefits?" She said she lost everything. She lost her 401k. She lost her house. She lost her car. What did Diddy say? That I would never work again. That he would make me myself. They said, did you get, hold on, wait, where was that? Oh, did you get another like job offer? You know, she said, I did, but it fell through. I couldn't get a job. Did you settle a lawsuit with Diddy? She said yes, in October of 2012. And then she was about to say how much she settled for. And then they said, objection, sidebar. They went on a sidebar. So whereas they wanted Cassie to tell how much she settled for, they don't want Miss Capricorn to reveal how much she settled for. What's the tea with that? Why y'all want us to know how much Cassie settled for, but y'all want it to be so hush-hush when Capricorn tell us what she settled for? What's that about? What's that giving? What's the haps on the craps on that? So it says, during sidebar, here's the court art of Capricorn Clark. And this was from the artist Elizabeth Williams. And that is the one that I already showed you guys. So then they came back and then it said, aside from that settlement agreement, do you have any other pending litigation against Diddy? She said, no. They said, did you go back to work for him after all of this? And then she says, 2016, no one else would hire me. Cassie had a new record deal with Epic, and she ended up going back to work for Diddy again. So basically, they're like, listen, he controlled my life. I couldn't get a job without his, I guess, approval. And the only way that I could work is working for him. Well, I would beg to differ that she could have went into a different field, but that was her area of expertise, and that's the field I guess she wanted to work on. So she says she went back to work for him in 2016. Not somebody in the chat saying they watching from jail. Okay. You got Cash App in jail to donate to the stream, sir? Can you donate via Cash App? Because y'all be having buku money on Cash App, and if you watching and you liking what you see, my Cash App is right there, jail or not. Y'all be making a coin. Y'all be making a coin over there. This person right here say he watching from jail. Anyways, child, y'all be having that Cash App loaded up. If you so generous. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, let me go back. All right. So, okay, so they said, aside from the settlement agreement, do you have any other pending litigation against Mr. Combs? She said no. They said, did you go back to work for him? She said in 2016 she went back to work for him because nobody else would hire her. And then she said that she started working back because Cassie had a record deal with Epic. And then they said, who did you get the approval from? She said she got the approval from Diddy. Cassie and then they wanted to know, like, okay, so what was the atmosphere? She said Cassie was taking more drugs at that time. And they said, was she still dating Mr. Combs? They said yes. So then they said, in December 2023, why did you retain an attorney? So she said she done read Cassie's lawsuit and she got traumatized. So she done seen Cassie's lawsuit And it done brung back all these flashbacks of everything that she done went through. And she decided, Cassie settled in 24 hours? I done had all this trauma. Ring, ring, get the lawyer on the line. And that's why I want to know, because when Cassie settled, there was a lot of speculation of how much she settled for. And even then, a lot of people speculated that she had settled for like 30 million because that's how much she had demanded. Now, we didn't know back then she got 20 million. Everybody assumed she got 30 million because it was so fast. So she said, listen, I done read Cassie's lawsuit and I done got traumatized. I had to get me a lawyer on the line at that point because, baby, he settled in 24 hours. What that got on my trauma, because the settlement that I had before, it ain't giving that. Okay? So, they said, she said that, you know, she got traumatized from reading Cassie's complaint. And then she said her complaint did not reference me. I reached out to Mr. Combs and said, I want my life back. You kidnapped me. They said, objection. Child. Not her saying she want her life back after she done read that lawsuit, after she done worked for him in 2016. Then they said, was there a discussion of you working for Mr. Combs again? She said, yes. They wanted to upgrade my position to chief of staff. All right. So then they said, when did you last speak to Cassie? She said in 2018. When did you last speak to Kid Cudi? She said 2012. They said no further questions. They went on a break. And then that's when they took like a break. Okay. So they came back from break. And now it's Diddy's lawyer, Agnifilo. And he's basically doing the cross-examination of Capricorn Clark. So it says, Miss Clark, the judge reminds her that she's still under oath. And then Diddy's lawyer said, we met in April 2024. You had a lawyer, Brian Freeman? Capricorn Clark says, yes. You wanted to come back to work with Mr. Combs, right? She said, we discussed it. Yes. They said, you saw Miss Garagos taking notes? Yeah. You said you didn't think Cassie was good for Mr. Combs? Why? I just thought they were toxic. Tell me about when you were in New York. I was in the Bronx and I hated it. It was 2002. I met Janet. And then I met Mr. Combs. In 2001 was the World Trade Center thing. Then I met Mr. Combs. They said he was doing drugs, right? She said he did ecstasy in Diddy's house, but it got worse. Yeah. So then they wanted to know, did you authorize your lawyer to seek a job for you? All right. So they like, okay, so you discussed working for Diddy again. You had a lawyer. Did you authorize your lawyer to seek a job? And then they say, it was very procedural, lawyer to lawyer, but you were told you couldn't be given a job in the middle of the investigation. So Capricorn, in the middle of this whole scandal, is brokering a deal with her lawyer and Diddy's team to get a job, but they're like, listen, it ain't gonna look right in the middle of investigation that you be given a job. And then she said she don't remember that. So then they said, okay, so read this and let me know when you're done. Do you remember saying that you had the biggest crush on him? They like, so now they finna paint her as a person that is disgruntled with a crush. Like, you had the hots for Diddy. You liked him and you was probably jealous. Baby, I don't know how well that's going to go over with the jury because, girl, child, Diddy hot. She probably was just saying that to be nice. Because I don't think that there's any person on planet Earth that looks at Diddy and thinks that, oh my God, he's so hot. So if there is correspondence that say he's so hot, I'm going to believe that she was just being nice in case he saw it type of thing. I don't know. But let's continue to see what the context of her saying that he was hot was. So they said, you had the biggest crush on him. The prosecutor said, objection 403. The judge wanted to know, like, why are you going down this line of questioning? And Diddy's lawyer says, listen, I'm trying to get a read on her state of mind. Like, and then they said, it's being offered for the truth. And then they had to go on sidebar. So they said, you called him Chalk for chocolate? Child, they said you gave him a cutesy little chocolatey Choc nickname. Okay, he was a chocolate man and you called him Chalk. You liked him. That's what it gave. You was sweet on him. You called him Chalk. She said, I did. You started to work with Def Jam first with Run DMC, right? She said, I don't go that far back, but I'm more of the era with, you know, Foxy Brown, Redline, Jay-Z. And then he said, so how did you come to work for Mr. Combs? She says, I put my resume on Monster after the World Trade Center thing. He said, you'd work for me. I was like, maybe. He was acting on Broadway in Raisin in the Sun. I was impressed. They said he had a major part. They said he was a star. And then she says, then I shadowed him on the Vote or Die campaign. My job was to get T-shirts on celebrities and onto the photo shoots. I'd call them and say, Puff wanted them to come. And what they did, they came? She said they did. So, okay, so you was working for him. You're shadowing him. You're doing all of these things. How long after you get the job with Puff did the jury thing happen? You know? And the jury thing is where she first had to take these lie detector tests and all of that. So they're like, okay, so, all right, so you around Puff, you calling him Chalk, and you're shadowing him, and you're doing all this stuff. So how long before the jury thing happened? She said it was about 4 months. They said on the 4th of July, he threw a white party at his home in the Hamptons that year. And then it was with Vote or Die. They said, when did they come up missing? She said after the 4th of July. The jewels were still on loan from Jacob the jeweler. And then they're like, okay, so who else got a lie detector test? Like, you got a lie detector test, and who else? She says a person by the name of Mike B, which is his stylist, and he too had gone to the street level of 1440 for manicures. The lie detector test was the next day. And they say, okay, so you went and did this lie detector test. They did all this stuff, and you never told HR? She said no. And then she said, I got fired for 3 weeks. So you got fired for 3 weeks. How did you get unfired? She said, I went to work on his 35th birthday at whatever place that is to do the celebrity list, and then I was able to come back. So 2004 to 2006 she said, not all. And so they said, okay, so what was your role while you were working with him? Were you his personal assistant? And then she said, at that point in time, she wasn't his personal assistant. She was his liaison. So then they said, you know, they wanted to know how much money she was making. And she said, I was making $65,000 for Combs, then $90 at Jive. So I guess that's $90,000 at Jive. It just say $90, but I would assume that's 90,000. I don't know. But anyways, it says, why'd you come back to Combs? She said, I had gotten top records for R. Kelly. Mr. Combs said he was impressed and asked me to come back for Sean John Women. So she said, I think I was really good. I was a really good employee for him. And then he said, he told you you were awesome? He didn't use that word. You worked for him. I did. Others worked hard too, right? Not as hard as me. And then she says she learned a lot from Mr. Combs, and then she's crying again. All right, so she's almost starting to cry. And this is what they do a lot of times. So a lot of times when people were on the stand, they would try to, instead of focusing on the negative, they would try to elicit some type of boasting about Diddy. Like, oh, you liked working for him, or oh, didn't you have fun when you went to Saint-Tropez, or wasn't it, look at you on the beach here, weren't you happy? It's like, just because there are little moments here and there where there was some type of glee or joy doesn't mean that they were not working under terror. But that's what his lawyers would do oftentimes. They would try to point out different times like, oh, well, you had fun this day, didn't you? Or, oh, on September, blah, blah, blah. Like, hey, weren't you laughing here? Didn't he make you laugh? Didn't he tell you a joke? Wasn't he nice to you this day? But it's like, okay, but what about the days where he was acting like he was finna kill me? Is we gonna talk about that? You know? But that's basically how they have been doing it. So they're like, you were a hard worker, you know, you worked hard. You know, she said she learned a lot from him. She started almost crying. And then she says, he broke the glass ceiling for us Black people in the business world. And then so as she's crying, Diddy's lawyer is like, do you need a minute? And so she over there crying, and she's like, it's just complicated. Like, you know, because again, they're trying to make it seem like it was a great environment. Like, you loved it there, didn't you? And then she's like, motherfucker, I was going through hell while also, you know what I mean? Like, is that complicated? So they took a break. So they took a break, and then it says they sent her out and the jury out. So the judge wanted to know on the DNA question to Inspector Jimenez, the government objection is overruled. And then the government says, we asked for a bit longer. We've not been able to eat lunch. We are running ahead of schedule. Our case may be closer to 5 weeks than 6 weeks. So they're like, we getting through these witnesses quickly. Don't just say that he could bring in a report yet. Like, give us some time to, you know, work up something so that we could get it together. So they say that their case in chief is going to wrap up closer to 5 weeks. Now, after they give their case in chief, then Diddy is able to give his case in chief. So that's where the estimation of the 2 months is, because they were supposed to do 6 weeks, and then Diddy was supposed to do 2 weeks, which would be an estimation of about 8 weeks. But they're saying, listen, don't rush us too quick. We're running ahead of schedule. Our case might wrap up in 5 weeks. We're running on pace. Let us check some things out. All right? Because Diddy still has to give his defense. So let's go back. What is this? We'll look at that later. All right, let's go back to where we were. Okay, hold on. Let me find out where we were at. All right, so she came back in. The jury came back in. The prosecutor said they proposed to use communication between Miss Clark and Cassie. We don't see any non-hearsay purpose. Diddy's lawyer says there are logistics and photo shoots being discussed. She testified to this on direct. And then it says the direct went more negative than we expected. Their theory is that Cassie was not permitted to be creative. The judge says in the future, in what you submit overnight. And then they talk about submitting something. Okay, so in their defense, submission over the weekend, the defense argued the album cover was relevant, right, Ms. Shapiro? And then it says, yes. The prosecution says Cassie is topless with her arms crossed. And then the judge says, let's have Miss Clark come back in. So the jury comes back in, and then they say, when you went to the park, it was to Tavern on the Green. She said, we parked there earlier in the day. In the park, we ran into Nas. Not they in the park and they ran into Nas. So they say, okay, so when you say he had Miss Ventura spin, who was there? Let me show you what you said. You said Lorianne Gibson was there. Capricorn says they misheard me. She said, when did you first meet Cassie? I met her with Ryan Leslie. Why did you not get along with Cassie sometimes? She said in 2008, she got more bravado being his girlfriend. The longer it lasted, she thought I was being paid to help her. Okay, she said Cassie started getting a little dextra, okay? She started being a little too cool for school because she was dating Diddy and she thought that I was her peasant. That ain't what she said, but that's what she mean. Basically, Cassie was treating her like a peasant and she had to let it be known like, girl, I'm not your peasant. I'm not the one. Okay? She said Cassie was on her high horse. She was humping on Diddy. And she thought I was her little hot, like, girl, not too much, Cassie. So, they said objection. They said, re-ask the question. So they said, what did you see? She said, she went from being a sweet model to being a feisty girlfriend. Do you think she was talented? I mean, she had talent. She was beautiful, but not talented. She was not. I have good taste. So she basically said Cassie was eye candy, but she didn't have a whole bunch of talent like that. Like she was cute, but talented. Yeah, she was cute though. My taste for talent is a little high class. That's basically what she said. Like I got higher expectations for talent. So, she said, talented to me is like Whitney Houston or Mariah Carey. She was more of like a studio musician. She needed things equalized. Did she perform live? A couple of times. It wasn't the greatest. Was she a hard worker? At times. When she wasn't a hard... When was there times when she wasn't a hard worker? She said, she wanted to be with her nigga, basically. She wanted to be with her mans and them. And when they moved to LA after Kim had the twins back in 2009, around that time, she saw her developing more of her relationship with Puff. So he supported her. Yeah, like he provided her with stylists, other musicians, all the components to make a star. Did she get more help than others? Yes. Young Jock and groups from Atlanta, I developed French Montana. She says, I ran into Cassie. She said she had a new deal with Epic. I dressed her like David Bowie. We did a photo shoot at my house. We wrote a mini movie and shot it for the project. What about Official Girl? That was a super cute video. King of Hearts? It was fresh. Puff liked it. Cassie had a green wig? Yeah. We moved to admit this witness. And then the prosecution said there is an issue that is under seal. Like y'all trying to show something that's under like a sealed issue. So they said, you don't remember this email? She said, I don't. And then it says, here in 2012, you are setting up a recording session for Cassie. And let me check the likes real quick. Let me look and see the likes. What is the likes giving? Give me the likes on the video. On the video. On the video. The likes is alright. But the likes could be a little better. They alright. But they could be a little bit better. Okay. But let's get into some more. Let me take a break from reading and let's see if anybody is backstage that wants to come up. All right, nobody backstage right now. Y'all know y'all could sit backstage until it's time for a break and come up here. If there's anybody who wants to come up real quick while we take a quick break, let me know. Because child, let me take a break from talking real quick. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. Boom. We got half the likes. We got 2,400 people watching with 1.2K likes. We got to do a little bit better than that. We got to do a little bit better. Let's see if anybody want to come up real quick. If not, we'll go back into reading. But y'all know, y'all can always support the channel by hitting the like button. The like button is free. Or you can go to my channel and, you can go to my website. And if you don't want to deal with no dusty, you know what I'm saying? You could get you a little extracurricular toy that can help you out from feeling like you need to deal with these corny. Okay. I got all kind of goodies on my website. Y'all can check it out. Put in the code no Diddy for a surprise discount at checkout. Now, let's go back into reading some more. Y'all scared to click the link? I know it's not almost 3,000 of y'all and y'all scared to click the link to talk real quick, but that's okay. Let's get back to it. Y'all want to hear the rest? Let's hear the rest. Boom. So they said, all right, so here in 2012, you're setting up a recording session for Cassie. She said for Mario Winans was for the chairman. And then they said for Combs, she said yes. So when did you learn Cassie was dating Kid Cudi? In the fall of 2011, I picked her up there. So they said, okay, so you believe that after Thanksgiving, Miss Ventura and Kid Cudi were what? I believe they was getting to know each other, like they was getting to know each other. Why did you get her a burner phone at Best Buy? I told her you cannot do this on your bad boy phone. How did you know about burner phones? She said, I grew up in LA. I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. How did I know about a burner phone? Yeah, I'm hip to the streets. Okay, so they said, how did you know about a burner phone? She said, I grew up in LA. And then so they said in December of 2011, Mr. Combs was at an orphanage in Almaty. And they said, and she said, I heard it was Russia. He said, how did Mr. Combs get into your building? She said, I was told the security guard got fired. What was his name? Some random security guard. What did he look like? A black guy, younger than 35. So here she is in a secure building that they're not supposed to just let anybody up. But think about the influence of a Diddy. You work in security. You supposed to be securing the place, not letting any old randoms up. And then Diddy walks up telling you to let him in. You grew up watching Diddy. You know about Diddy. He come up saying, let me up. And you let him up. So basically, she said, after that, I heard he got fired. Okay, that's all I know. Don't ask me no questions about him. All I know is he got up out of there after that. Basically, that's what it's saying. So anyways, she said he was around 35 and he got up out of there. And then so let's see what else. They said, what was Mr. Combs doing with the pew pew? She said he had it in his hand. He wasn't pointing it at you? No. But you told the government he pointed it at you. And then she says, it says, or waved it around. That's more correct. Where did you change into street clothes? In my closet? Isn't it true that you went so that Mr. Combs wouldn't do something stupid? No. I went because he said he didn't care. I didn't want to go. Did he come off as a jealous guy? He has a bad temper. So to the Escalade, did you pass a security guard? I saw him in his little hut. Was Diddy behind you, like behind the driver with the pew-pew on his lap, and you made a call? I didn't make a call right then. Okay, so did you look at Kid Cudi's door to see if they could get through it? She said, I was not really paying attention. I was so in my head trying to plan my next step. I was praying that Cudi was not in there. Did Cassie have 2 rooms? She said Cudi took her to one room. She had another. So they said, you're 100% that you called and told them Puff had a pew-pew? She said, yes. I said it very quickly. I didn't want Puff to see me on the phone. Did you say that Lauren London was on the phone with you and Cassie and Cudi? Sure. They said, child, was Lauren London in on this too? Sure. So she said, no, like, only part of the time. I wanted someone to know where I was. What did you tell her? I'm scared of mountain lions. Mountain lions? I don't know if you know the Hollywood Hills Coyotes, maybe. Lauren was on the phone. Maybe it's such a long time ago. Are you aware that Lauren and Mr. Combs were friends for years after this? Yes. Then you see the Porsche coming up the hill. Yes. Cudi is in the black Porsche. He stops next to us. Then he speeds off and we chase him. Then what happened? He loses us. We turn away. Then we see police pass us. So she's saying, now again, this is more information that Kid Cudi didn't tell. Because she said that Kid Cudi came in, they peeled off, the police was coming in at the same time. But now she's saying, child, we was chasing Kid Cudi up and through the hills. And then he lost us. And so I'm wondering, why didn't Kid Cudi not tell us that he was getting chased through the hills and all of that? Child. So, okay, so it's boom, 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 boom. Okay, so she said, then you see the Porsche coming up the hill. She said, yes, Cudi's in the black Porsche. He stops next to us and then speeds off. And then we chase him and then he loses us and turns away, then we see the police pass us. And then what happened? You go back to pick up Cassie and go where? She said, Cudi's house. There was, I guess, an alarm system there. Then you go to Mr. Combs' house and you say you see Mr. Combs kicking Cassie there and even in the street. She said yes. So you hung up on the fire inspector. I did. When you were on vacation, it was with who? She said she was on vacation with Rihanna. After you were fired, what job did you get? I was hired by Chris Lighty to work for 50 Cent. All right, so here you wrote to Mr. Combs, one day you'll forgive me. Anyways, be well, XX. Tell us the tea on this note that you left him. What he got to forgive you for? All right, and then she said, yeah, I wrote that. And then they said, you wrote on February 28th, 2015, that your grace period to be mad at me has surpassed the agreed time. LOL. You wrote that? And then she said, yes, sir. And then they said, okay, so please read that aloud. I wrote that she was never my friend. She wanted me gone. I realized. Did you think Cassie wanted you gone? And then so she starts breaking down, crying again. And so she's crying. And as she's crying, she's like, sorry, this is complicated for me. I felt that I was Puff's protector. I felt I was the only one gone. She was still there and things were getting worse. I tried to keep professionalism as the goal. You thought you could be his protector? It was to move the ball towards the goal, to inspire. They said, did it hurt that he would only take you back because Cassie wanted? All right. So now they saying, girl, you only got your job because of Cassie. Did that hurt you that he's not the one who really wanted you there, but he settled for you being there because Cassie wanted you? And so she said, yes, I have no parents. My son is autistic. My stakes are higher, sir. And then the judge wanted to know, how much more are you about to push this girl around? How much more of this direct recross are you going to do? And then they said he wanted to go on a sidebar. They went on a sidebar. They came back. And then he said, just a few more minutes and we'll get you out today. She says, thank you, sir. You did a lot of great work with Cassie in 2016 and 2017, right? I believe so. Cassie had addiction problems. Yes. All right, let's refresh, get back to where we are. This is another sketch. This is her on the stand. Crying, 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 crying. Breaking down in tears. All right. Wait, where do we go? Okay. All right. So then Diddy's lawyer said, you made a short movie with her. She said, it was called Love a Loser. He said, you wrote to him asking for forgiveness. And then she said, I wanted my life back, my dream, my competency. They said, okay, so when you met with him, you wanted to work for him, right? We discussed it. They said nothing further. So they letting the jury know, after all of this that she said, after all of the trauma in 2023, she still wanted to work for him. But I think she did good by letting them know, listen, She got attachment issues because she is somebody in this world with no parents. She don't got her mom. She don't have her father. She's raising this autistic son, and she can't get hired in the field that she wants with anybody else. So, like, this is my whole livelihood. This is all I have. And so they said no further questions. And so let's go. Let's see. Okay, so she wanted her life back. Okay, so now the prosecution is up. And they say when you met, oh wait. Okay, so the prosecution says, what happened with the job with Chris Lighty? She said he died the day before I was supposed to start. Then at Interscope, it wasn't about a job. They told me to leave Puff alone. And then Diddy's lawyer said, I object. The judge sustained. And then she says, I was blacklisted. Diddy's lawyer says, objection. Why did you return to work for Mr. Combs? She said, so people could see I wasn't disposable. At this level of business, he held all the power. Why did you meet them? To get my life back. In the kidnapping, did Mr. Combs carry a pew-pew? Yes. And then the judge said, jurors, I know we kept you longer than I said. Thank you. See you tomorrow. All rise. So the jurors leave. And then the judge say, tomorrow, who is going to testify? And then they say AUSA, they say the LAPD, the LAFD, Jimenez, Nash, and Mia. Ooh, child, we gonna finally hear from Mia. We gonna finally hear from Mia. There was a lot of people mentioning Mia. Mia this, Mia that. What happened with Mia? Mia. Child. They about to have Mia on a stand. So she's done. It sounds like she's done or whatever. So did it say no further questions for her? I feel like she's off the stand because they're going to start tomorrow with these people. So I'm going to assume that the police, like whatever police officer arrived at Kid Cudi's house, because they're still building the narrative around Kid Cudi, this situation with Cassie, the break-in, the arson, and all of those things. So I'm guessing the fire department for LA and the police department are going to give their accounts of what they witnessed on the break-in and what they witnessed on the Molotov cocktail situation. And then Nash and Mia are going to testify. And then Diddy's lawyer says, what about the VTC with Mr. Combs in the Brooklyn jail? They says there's logistical difficulties in the evening. They believe they are being flexible. And they said we get cut off around 5:30. The legal minutes cut off with the MD. Blah, blah. All right, so they're done for the day. So that was today's testimony. What do y'all think about Capricorn? Let me see if there is anybody who wants to come up really quickly, because Capricorn got into some things. There is the link. Let's check in and see if Secret Service Sam is saying anything else. Ooh, he said he said that Miss Combs is tied in court. Hold on. Let's check in with Secret Service Sam. In the meantime, y'all could come up before we close out.
People have been asking me, how is Miss Combs holding up in the courtroom? I've been watching her. She's wiping her face. She's kind of rubbing her temples a lot. She's visibly tired. I can feel the strain in her hands as she's rubbing her face, like any mother would, and that's something, I have kids, so I understand. No matter what happens in your kids' lives, you are always their parent, and there's no escaping that. So for better or worse, you have to be there. And she is so stoic. She looks amazing. She's right there for her son. And, so that part is beautiful.
All right, so that's what he said about that.
Guys, just stepped out of the court building. Capricorn Clark, man, it is brutal testimony. She is crying the entire time. Mark Agnifilo is just literally just beating her up on the stand. It's not pretty to watch at all. Basically what he's trying to show is that she continued to contact him to get work. Even after all these abuse allegations, the kidnapping, they keep asking, yeah, but why ask him for a job? And she says she has a nonverbal son. She doesn't have her parents. They both died when she was young. And I think what people don't understand, which I do about this business, is they keep saying, the stay in your lanes, people just don't understand when you're in this business and you feel like there's no other options out there for you, after time passes and you need to support a kid or something, you will go back to that. And it shows. She had a meeting with Jimmy Iovine where she went in to get a job, and of course the judge made them strike this. But she went to Jimmy Iovine at Interscope, asked for a job, and he said to her, you better leave this Puff thing alone. It's not going to end well for you. So it just goes to show that even if you get out the blackmail of the business, that Puff was so powerful that you couldn't get a job outside of him.
All right. So that is Secret Service Sam talking about how Puff Daddy would basically blackball the people. True Rael, what is your thoughts on Capricorn's testimony for today?
Wow. Very truthful. That's how I'm taking it. And I'm glad. One thing that I'm glad about now, because some people were really anticipating to hear, the people with the big names, real big names, and we're getting more insight in how Diddy operated. I mean, this is really getting heavily into his personal life. It's draining. I mean, it's very draining. And
yeah, when I was there at the courthouse, I'm like, people were getting mad at me because I wasn't delivering to my best ability. But I'm like, if you're sitting in there and you're just listening to all of this, it's like, to me, I just got fried with information overload. It's like so much information that you're getting, you're hearing, and things like that. But go ahead.
No, you did an excellent job. I've been in court settings, and I totally understand. It is a lot, and I can imagine that it's even surreal, even being there. And how I look at it is people should, really appreciate how you're extending yourself, and then you got a child that you got to raise and stuff. You're doing an amazing job, because you're the only channel that I'm going to, because you're very detailed. And the thing that troubles me is that people want to fight with you about certain things, and people getting their emotions so caught up in it. And I've said this again on your channel, because I got a channel too. I may want a story to land a certain way, but you just giving the facts, and wherever it lands, it lands. It may not land the way you want it to land, but you're keeping it truthful and all. That's why I keep coming to your channel and everything. But one thing that I wanted to just kind of throw out there, I'm gonna try to be as coded as I can, and then I'm gonna get off. How can I put it? So my daughter-in-law was dating somebody in that inner circle, and she basically was told to get the F out of Diddy's house. And she told me that they had 3 levels of this stuff, and she was there one, I always say her name wrong, Cassidy, when she was there. Cassie. And she just basically told me was that she was not no one was not allowed to speak with her. So she was always isolated and just kind of to herself, very quiet. And the only thing that she said that she knew about the girl was that, well, most people knew about it. She always wanted to have children. And she said, you know, she took offense when they told her to get up out of the house. But now that she's even watching the trial, she didn't realize the danger that she was in. Because she said, you know, next thing you know, you would see somebody and then you wouldn't see them no more. And then they would be able to go to these different events and all. And then some people would be offended that they couldn't go. And they just don't know. They just don't know that she said basically what she's picked up on, he would have people like checking people to see, well, if they'll, you know, maybe they'll go for this. Let's see how far they'll go. And you just never know, because people get caught up in the limelight and all of that. And that's what this girl got caught up in. And it's just real tragic. You know, I pray that these young ladies and young men too as well really take heed to this type of stuff. This stuff is not to be played with. This is showing the danger of being in the industry and thinking that it's just some little innocent party, because this stuff been going on for years. See, yeah. For years. So I'm gonna just keep it like that. Thank you, Queen, for your hard work. Happy Royal Day to your daughter.
Oh, thank you.
And many more to the little queen. All right. Thank you for allowing me on your channel.
All right. Thank you. All right. C. Brock, hello.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. My voice is kind of jacked up because I have allergies in this weather. I'm from Florida. The weather in Florida is kind of crazy right now. Mm-hmm. But I've been watching this trial, you know, like everybody else, just keeping up with the updates. I do, and like I said before, the reason why I keep coming back to your channel is because you do just give facts, and there's not a lot of fluff and opinions. And, you know, I see a lot of people try to make, like, they want to pop off of this situation. I just feel like, you know, don't use other people's pain and suffering to be your come up, because it's very unfortunate. My whole deal with Diddy or Mr. Combs is, I remember I'm older than probably than you, but I remember being like, I believe I was like 12 or 13 or something like that. Mm-hmm. I might have been younger than that, but I remember my uncle lived in Brooklyn, and I remember one summer I went to visit, and I remember distinctly going to my cousin's best friend's house, and her sister at the time was an intern at Uptown Records. And Diddy was working there, unbeknownst to me, my future sister-in-law, former sister-in-law now, but she would be also working at the same time as him. And an incident happened, and it would be years later. I would be probably in my mid-20s, and I regurgitated a conversation that was had around me about him spitting on an intern when he was working at Uptown Records. And when I regurgitated that story, my former sister-in-law was like, yeah, that's him. And she still works in radio, but she literally has lived here in the state of Florida for probably 30-some odd years. She's been here since my brother.
I don't want to cut you off. I want to keep it towards the testimony of Capricorn. Unfortunately, he does have a reputation of being this guy that would do all of these acts to all of the people. What do you think about Capricorn's testimony today?
Well, when I heard her story, and it's not new because I had heard her story before she ended up testifying through the grapevine of people in Hollywood talking about how she disappeared from being his assistant. That wasn't something that was private. It was kind of well-known fodder why she left, is because he threatened her and stuff like that. But I mean, it kind of lives with the fact that he's an abusive person, and like hearing her testimony once again brought back that story that I heard when I was a kid. And then my former sister-in-law, like validating it. Like, yeah, he did do that. And I was just like, so people think they take their power. Like I said, money make people have this pseudo power. And unfortunately, I can say this in the Black community because, and I'm not gonna paint all Black men with the same with a broad brush. But if you think that your money will allow you to abuse people because you've seen people around you because they have another skin tone as you get away with that, then you're crazy because our system is not built for us to ever be to succeed at being that type of person and them not use that against you in the future when you don't do what they want you to do after it's all said and done.
All right, that's thank you.
Yeah. And tell your daughter happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming up. All right, Toya, baby, will be the last person. What's your thoughts?
Look at God. Hey, Nick.
Hey, how you doing? You driving?
Can you hear me?
Are you driving?
Yes, I'm driving.
Can you roll up your window? Because it's a lot. I can hear it sounds like your window is rolled down.
You say, can I do what?
Roll your window up. It sounds like your window is rolled down.
Man, my window ain't even down. I'm just driving real fast.
Okay, tell us what you think real quick.
Okay, salute to you. I've been following you since you reported on the Mo3 story. But,
thank you.
I think with them mentioning Lauren London, that was kind of like crazy to me because I was just watching an interview with her and Big Boy. I mean, yeah, her and Big Boy. Her, Lauren London, and Big Boy together. And Lauren London just kept on asking her like these weird questions to the point where Cassie was like, can you ask somebody else? Because they were supposed to be promoting the movie that KK brought up today. So they was doing a promo tour and they went to Big Boy in the morning, and the interview was just kind of weird because Lauren London almost seemed like she was bullying Cassie with the questions that she was asking. So I just thought it was funny that Lauren London came up in the testimony today.
Yeah, that interview is being offered to people on their recommended. It came offered to me. It was a Big Boy interview. They were promoting a movie. It was Cassie and Lauren London, but they was talking a little sexual a little bit too. They were talking a little, flirtatious and all that as well. I'm definitely gonna do
and then it was one part. Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna do clips of that interview and tie it into some other stuff. But yes, the interview was, I want to say like 16 years ago, a long time ago. But go ahead.
It was one part. It was like they was pulling cards, and she was like, put your Uzi on her leg. And she was like, I did that last night. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, knowing what we know now, like, dang, was y'all freaking? It's just a lot. So I was trying to root for Diddy. I ain't even gonna lie. Like, I've been trying to root for Diddy throughout this thing. Like, man, you fucked up, bro, but hopefully they don't take.
You cursed. We gotta go. No curse words when y'all come up. I said it in the beginning. That was going to be the warning. No cursing, y'all. No cursing. So, with that being said, we are going to end the live. We done did so good. We got to 3 hours, and at 3 hours and 5 minutes, we got our first curse word. Child, we did good. But hopefully YouTube don't flag the video for that, but we will talk to y'all later. And I'll